Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to another special of the International Women of Blockchain event. I'm very excited to be here today with all of y'all. We have a very special day packed for you all. We're going to start with some really cool information about Web3. As you all know, we're all about community. We're all about making sure that we're building the right type of Web3 that's inclusive. And we're going to dive into that today. We're also going to have a few special guests that's going to join us as well. So we're about to venture into a whole new topic with the way that this ecosystem is building out. First, let me go ahead and introduce myself. My name is Oliinka Odenerin. I am the founder of Black Women Blockchain Council. I'm also the creator of this wonderful event that we've been running since day one. We're going to consistently run it until the 31st of March. We're very excited because we were able to showcase so many different women all across the globe who are involved in the blockchain ecosystem. And what more better way to do that than on the International Women event, especially when we're hosting it throughout the entire month of Women History Month. This is a celebration. It's an actual time for us to go ahead and celebrate the different women who are involved in this space and what they're bringing to this space. I have been so excited to be able to showcase the various women in the space and what they're working on, and let everyone know that we're not just, navigating through the space incoherently. We're actually understanding what the technology is all about, and we're building, we're creating, we're participating, we're cultivating that community. That word is very important because a lot of people assume that it's only those in their echo chamber, but we're realizing that everyone internationally are involved in blockchain, and everyone internationally are definitely, adding value to this space, particularly women. We're over here creating, we're over here building, and we're educating. We're onboarding more women into this space, and I've been so elated to meet all of them across the globe. Now, we've had special guests who have joined us, and we're going to consistently have special guests until the 31st. I want all of y'all to stay engaged and continue to join us. And without further ado, I'm going to invite my girl, Tam. Tam, come on up. Good morning, Tam. How are you?
I'm good. Good morning, Yinka. Good morning, everyone. It is another wonderful Wednesday, so I'm excited.
Yes, I'm excited too. Oh my God. Okay, so we've had so many stuff so far, and Wednesdays has always been one of those engaging days because we have women who are passionate about this space and how it's being built out. So I can't wait to hear what you got in store for us today.
Excellent. Me either. Like it's every Worldwide Web3 Wednesday has really been eye-opening. It's been an educational experience. And like you said, the passion that the women bring to these topics on Wednesdays and how they're affecting us on a global level is just truly been phenomenal. And I'm always excited to be a part of it. And so I hope everybody has their paper and pen. Like I'm always saying, get ready to take some notes. Because as you know, I'm a learner in this space and I just enjoy having these conversations because it allows me the opportunity to be around such wonderful women who have been developing and creating in this space and who are really developing opinions and bringing new education. And it's phenomenal every Wednesday. So I'm just so happy to be a part of it. And thank you, Yinka, for creating this and making it all possible. So
No problem. Well, I'm going to leave the stage and let you start.
Excellent. Thank you. So as Yinka said, I'm Tam Fitzgerald. I am a financial advisor utilizing life insurance and health insurance products to help individuals create generational wealth and tax-free retirement planning. I'm also an international mukbanger, which means that I travel around the world and I eat. I enjoy both of those things. I came into the Web3 space via the Bitcoin blockchain technology, and understanding about Bitcoin and learning really ignited my curiosity into wanting to know more about what blockchain was. And so I was fortunate enough to meet Yinka and the Black Women in Blockchain Council, Nicole, and a lot of other great women in the space. And then having the opportunity to be a part of this conference has been it's been the highlight of my March of my Women's Month. So I just really appreciate everyone for tuning in. Without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys know what our first topic is. Our first topic, we're going to have two presenters, and we're going to be speaking today on Web3 in sports. So we know this space is vast. And as I've been saying this entire conference, it literally touches and it's going to continue to grow and touch every aspect of our lives. And so it's time to adopt, it's time to educate ourselves, and it's time to learn. It's time to share that information with more people. So at this time, go ahead and bring up both of my speakers and allow them to introduce themselves with you. We first have Brittany Wallace. Welcome, Brittany.
I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
There we go. And
Shantae, how are you?
And Shantae.
So, just to introduce myself, my name is Brittany Wallace. I am a Web3 community builder. Co-founder of 21 Titles. We'll be talking to you about our business today and what 21 Titles is. But I'm just very, very excited to be here. And I'll let Shantae introduce herself.
Hi, Shantae. Welcome. Go ahead and unmute yourself for us.
Yeah.
There you are.
Hopefully you guys can hear me. Hopefully you guys can hear me, but my name is Shantae Hallett. I'm from the Bronx, New York. I'm an attorney, I'm a creative, and I'm the co-founder of 21 Titles. So I'm just super happy and blessed to be here as well.
Well, thank you both for being with us today. And I'm going to go ahead and leave the stage and let you guys take it from here.
Okay. All right. So essentially, we'll just go through the slides and give you guys an opportunity to follow along with us. All right. So again, like we said, Shantae and I are the co-founders of 21 Titles. And 21 Titles is essentially a peer-to-peer Web3 brand creating equity through community and collaboration. And what that simply means is that we are trying to utilize Web3 to essentially create a Web3 ecosystem in which Black and Brown creatives and athletes can use this space to potentially use this space to explore other avenues of income and just to explore a new realm of the internet that has hit the stage. So we've been particularly behind the scenes thus far. We've been rocking with a couple of other communities to kind of just give us experience here. So we're early members of Black NFT Art, which is basically the community arm of the Daima curation studio, which is a Black-owned Atlanta-based NFT curation studio founded by Iris Nevins and Omar Desire. So we've been pretty much learning in the background and facilitating events with them. And now we're looking forward to kind of like branching out on our own and really honing in on our New York City basketball culture. Like Shantae said, and I forgot to say, we're from the Bronx, New York, and we wear that on our sleeves very heavy. So if you know us, we're always repping for the Bronx and trying to make sure that we kind of like get the Bronx into this culture, into this space. So that's essentially what we've been doing, and we plan to, do some basketball activations coming up this year. You could go to I guess you could go to the next slide, Shantae. But really, we've seen an opportunity to kind of ingratiate the basketball community from New York, and we want to do our best to facilitate that. So, like I said, this is me and Shantae. We actually took this picture at a Bronx park that is near and dear to our heart that we grew up playing in. So that's essentially what we want to do with our platform here. We want to like we said, we realized there was a unique opportunity to onboard New York City basketball into Web3. And we're trying to be at the forefront and helm of that. But more specifically, we want to tell the stories of women in basketball from New York City. And, we're going to be starting first and foremost with our story. So, Shantae, you can go ahead and, I can talk all day if you wanted
No,
to
I
add.
think that was perfect. I think that, and hopefully you guys can hear me. I'm so sorry, but I think that when people think of New York City basketball, they immediately think of the men. Um, and so, like, just piggybacking off what Brittany said, I think this gives us a great opportunity to really hone in on telling stories of women. Um, I don't think we get our just due or get the opportunity to really showcase our talents and our stories because we're more than just athletes, right? We're creators, we're mothers, we wear many different hats, which is kind of how 21 Titles the name came about. But we want to take the opportunity to really be able to showcase and really tell women's stories in a creative way. So yeah, I'm just piggybacking off what you said.
Absolutely. And yeah, like we really like the New York City basketball culture is a very tight knit community, and we wanted to be the voice of reason for anybody from New York City basketball entering this space. Just a little bit of background. We entered the space in December 2020, like right before the NFT bubble kind of hit. We got introduced to this space literally on Clubhouse. Like, I came on Clubhouse to literally learn about financial literacy. And it just so happens that I stumbled into this room and I kind of brought Shantae in there with me. It was like, yo, they're talking about blockchain technology, and this technology going to disrupt every industry possible, right? Like, they're talking about giving artists an opportunity to benefit from secondary sales and royalties. This was something that I really, I had no idea about, because I wasn't so heavily engrossed in the art world. I'd probably say Shantae is more, savvy with that stuff. Art. She's always been a steward of art, of music, of culture, and she's always like introduced me to these things. So like when we were in this room, it was a week course really, called Becoming a Crypto Creator, and every day, like we were learning stuff like how to, this is the first time we heard about MetaMask and, setting up a digital wallet and seed phrases and, and everything just kind of really opened up my brain to a new world, so that's essentially what we want to do for the basketball community in New York City, is like just open them up to another perspective and something else that can potentially help and channel the things that we already doing. We already do fundraisers, we already do these things, and now potentially we have an avenue to do this with crypto, and build this ecosystem of communities that can support each other and uplift each other. So I'll head to the next slide here. And essentially, the first story we want to tell is our story, right? So this is how we're going to do it. Like, we really want to hone in on the woman's narrative. Like, being athletes, we really don't get a chance to control our own narrative. So that's why we really feel like Web3 is an opportunity for creative professionals of all types to really pave a way and an avenue for them that is, semi-sustainable in a sense. For me, just being a student athlete who had the fortunate opportunity to play professionally, really people don't know you as a person, right? They really just know me as the jersey that I wear and the name that I'm repping. Seldom did I get an opportunity to connect with people on a personal level. And that's why I'm very excited about what Web3 has to offer, because now people get a chance to see us in our human light. Like, we're not just athletes, like Shantae said. We're more than that. We are multifaceted. I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a sister, like Shantae said, now a creative director, a curator in a sense. So we really are going to be using crypto and, in a sense, crypto media to facilitate and tell our narrative. And that first story that we're going to tell is our story. And this is our first project, Dave's Daughters, that we will be dropping sometime in the summer. And we're excited about it. Shantae, if anything else you want to add?
No, I think you did a good job. It's just, they always try to, how society is, they try to box you in with just being, like you said, an athlete. And not profiting off of our name, image, and likeness for so long, like as student athletes, and now being able to do that is a beautiful thing to see. And then with the emergence of the blockchain, it just allows student athletes to really take hold of the story that they want to tell for of their lives, of their beings. And so um, this also, even though we're running a little late, well, society is running a little late, we still want to be able to take advantage of, telling our story and telling other individual stories that didn't get the opportunity to be as creative with curating their stories. So yeah, we're super excited about this. We've been working on this for about a year, so this should be cool.
Right. So just a little background about us. Like we said, we've contributed to New York City basketball history for over a decade. This is our childhood team, the Kips Bay Lady Mustangs. And we really had a great team. And pretty much all of us had the opportunity to go to college. That's one thing that our coach, who his name is Dave. That's why we named our project Dave's Daughters. One of the things he told us when we started playing with him is that all of us are going to go to college and get an education. Like, besides basketball, playing basketball, that's one of the things that he always stressed, was making sure that we got an education. And you know, I believe. So I'll just go through some of these players. Tatiana McMorris, she went to Marquette University. She played there on a full athletic scholarship. She's in this picture. You have Angela Barrett. She got a full athletic scholarship to go to college. She went to Maryland University and played for Brenda Fries over there. Danielle Brown, who's also a part of this illustrious team right here. She went to Columbia University. She played at Columbia University on scholarship. Well, financial aid. You can't really get a scholarship at an Ivy League school, but she got tons of financial aid. And then she's also an attorney, like Shantae. She went to Miami University to get her law degree. And she's now a private practicing attorney. She's a councilwoman in Mount Vernon, New York. And me, I went to Rutgers University. I played there for 4 years. I graduated with a degree in biological sciences. I had aspirations to be a medical doctor, and then, you know, things change. Your mind changes, and I kind of like made a pivot and played professionally. For the past decade, I've been a professional chef. Also, running my own business, helping people get into health and wellness and understand that health is wealth. So, and Shantae is an attorney. She's an attorney at a firm. She's balancing that while doing this. So we we just feel like we just have the credibility to really, like we said, bring in all the people that we know and connect New York City basketball to this burgeoning new iteration of the internet. Like, we always feel like we're last to the show when it comes to new innovation and new things coming to the forefront. So we really didn't want the basketball community to be left behind um, with this. So that's one of the reasons why we really, really feel that we have a unique opportunity to bridge the gap for these communities. Okay. And like we said, really, people try to downplay the woman athlete in a sense, and we want to alleviate that. Here are just a few examples of some gender discrimination insights
Mhm.
that we've seen. I was also a part of NBA Top Shot extremely early, and one of the things that we're seeing in this space is this. It's very male dominated and it's very white dominated.
Mhm.
So we're trying to again disrupt that. And NBA Top Shot, that was the same story. Um, a lot of people didn't know. Like I started a whole. Me and my good friend from New York, we started a brand around NBA Top Shot called Top Shot Callers. And the amount of bros and hey bud, and hey guy, hey man, like no matter how many times I tweeted out that I was a woman behind the account, people still ignored that and called me a guy, and we really, and that just kind of like ties into what essentially we're trying to do with this whole women's basketball initiative, that we're trying to convey and put at the forefront. Like women are just as talented and as just as talented as men. I feel like sometimes even more so, you know. And why I say that is because we as women, we don't have that. Obviously, the we still have the same type of athletic acumen, but obviously we understand that men are faster, stronger,
Mhm.
and can jump higher, and they use that to their advantage sometimes. So really, sometimes they don't use their mind and their
Right.
IQ as much as they should, because they're leaning and compensating with their athletic prowess.
Right.
And for women, we can do both.
Right.
You know, we really been trained to use our IQ first and foremost because we're not so much driven by athletic prowess, But now, in this sense, in this generation, we're starting to see these young ladies um really
They
have
can.
another another level to the athletic prowess. We're seeing women dunk now.
Right.
Like a lot of the complaints we've seen from guys talking about women's basketball is that it's not exciting. It's not exciting enough for me to hold my attention. Well, now that's not going to be a problem because we have women dunking, and we just play the game the right way. Okay,
Right.
that's really what I'm gonna say. We really play the game the right way. We do what really needs to be done the right way. And now that we're seeing the athletic on top of seeing it done the right way, I'm just really, really excited for what's to come for women's basketball. And yeah, Shantae, you can if
No, you hit everything on the nail. I think that it's just time. It's just time
right,
for people to respect women athletes, and I think that you're seeing that a lot more, right? On social media and marketing and advertising. Like now, after I don't know after how many years, like we're getting a little more respect, but we need equal pay.
right,
Let's start there. We need equal pay. And we need to just be treated fairly and given the same opportunities. And so that's what we really want to highlight. Like we're kind of tired of waiting on the sidelines. And we're
right,
really trying to show, the world like, hey, we're here too. We matter too. So
right. Right,
yeah.
right. That's absolutely correct. And just one thing that I wanted to say. So, Draymond Green, he's a forward for the Golden State Warriors. Like probably a year ago or something like that, he was talking about how he had a back and forth with Angel McCoughtry. So she's a retired WNBA star, and they had like a really spicy back and forth because Draymond kind of said like he initiated the conversation and was like, y'all women y'all need to tell y'all stories and put y'all narratives out there, and for you to get saved, because Angel McCautry was talking about sponsorships and not being able to have the not being able to have access to the funds needed in order to fund the projects and stuff that she wants to do. She's also an entrepreneur. She has, a few businesses in Atlanta. That's the team that she played for most of her career, the Atlanta Dream. So she was just saying how he's talking all this mess, and because he has a microphone in front of him, right? Like, he's on one of the best teams in the NBA. They're in a big market, and they have the means. For us as women, we don't have the same opportunities, and that's all she's trying to say. And now we see that Angel McCautry is engrossed into Web3. She has her angelmccautry.eth name, and she's educating other WNBA players about this space. So it's it's an opportune time for us, and I'm just extremely excited what's going to come for women's basketball on a whole scale, on a global scale. So yes, this was our we're on a mission to create the crypto media that will get women's basketball the visibility it deserves. And like we said, we will be doing that by first telling our story, and then on the back end telling more stories of women's basketball players in New York City. We initially wanted to start as a crypto media brand, and kind of been really involved in kind of community engagement for the time being. We really feel like garnering a community is first and foremost key in thriving in this space, and that's really how we've been going at this, or been trying to kind of like position ourselves in this space. We haven't dropped any NFTs yet. We've really just been kind of supporting and doing stuff on the other end, and really excited about what we have going forward with our plans, and how we want to do basketball activations in the city. And it's kind of grown out of that, like from community engagement we've seen with other things that we've done. So we've also been a part of, we had an opportunity to go to ETH Denver this year. And ETH Denver, for anyone who doesn't know, it's one of the largest Web3 community-based conferences in the world, and it's held in Denver, Colorado. This was started in 2018 with probably a few hundred people. And just this past year, it spiraled into growing into a place where over 15,000 people have come. So we had a chance to like really be immersed in that. And let's just say we got to build out conferences for Black and Brown people. It was inspiring to see what we can grow our communities into. Like being part of this International Women of Blockchain conference. Like this is I envision this is going to be something that's going to grow into something that's extremely profound and big in the future. And I see us honing in and garnering that sentiment across all of our communities. Having these conferences, these things are extremely important. We've seen the level of interest people have in this space, and it was a little disheartening to just see a lot of white developers and white coders, and in this space, and seldom do we see people that look like us. So we're particularly on a mission to make sure that we also get more, Black developers and coders in this space to create, the environments that we want to see. Like a lot of this coding and this this space is white cisgendered,
Yes,
male dominated, and we're here to disrupt that, right?
absolutely.
Everybody's here to disrupt that. So yeah, Shantae, if you
No, you hit everything on the nail. It was it was very few of us out there, but like Brittany said, it was inspiring to see because we know we could do these things. Um, so we were glad that we were there to see that. We got some work to do. We got some work to do.
yeah, that's essentially what it is. We definitely got some work to do, and um, this conference is the origin story of what we can build.
Right, right.
Mommy, I want to make a smoothie.
And there's my son in the background. All right, I got you, Papa. Sorry, y'all. So yeah, we're trying to create the culture. This crypto art visual project documents the stories unveiled as we interview coaches, members, and iconic New York City women's basketball teams. We wanted to revisit the Kips Bay Boys and Girls Club on Randall Avenue in the Bronx to chart its impact and research the gapping inequality between men and women's sports. So we're definitely on a mission to basically kind of highlight the disparities between women's and men's sports, and again, controlling our narrative and showing that these things really matter. Like the Kips Bay Boys and Girls Club that we grew up at really cultivated the relationships that we have today, and we feel that it's been a profound foundation for us, and we just want to keep perpetuating that same ethos for the next generation of kids from the Bronx. We are really community driven, and we really, really do love working with the youth. The youth is near and dear to my heart, specifically, and I want to just do the same thing that Kips Bay allowed for me to the youth.
Right. Right.
Did you see this?
Right.
Yeah, right. But yes, no, we really are community driven. We don't just talk about it. We really are about it. A lot of the people that we're around, that's what they're about too. And without that Kids Bay Boys and Girls Club being there,
Mommy.
right? Without that Kids Bay Boys and Girls Club being there, our lives could have went left really quickly. A lot of the players that you see now, I don't know if you guys know Kemba Walker. He went to Kips Bay Boys and Girls Club. A lot of these NBA and WNBA players grew up in the same Kips Bay Boys and Girls Club that we grew up in. And like I said, or rather like Brittany said, that community center was like a safe haven. Like, if a lot of us did not go there and grow up there and spend time there, our lives could be completely different from what they are now. So we're just trying to, pave the way for other young people and provide them with the resources and opportunities to really thrive in this weird time that we are in. So I'm just laughing at Brittany, but yes, we will be dropping our 5-part docu-series in hopefully June or July. And we will start activating some in real life events to really get more people involved in what we're doing and what's going on in Web3 and the blockchain. So I'm really, and I know I can speak for Brittany too, super looking forward to having like in real life events in New York City, especially during NFT NYC, where again, that's predominantly white. It's predominantly white. And so we're trying to bring some culture to NFT NYC and have people network and collaborate and really tap in and see what's going on. So
Right.
Thank you so much, ladies. It was an awesome presentation. I'm so happy to hear that you all are focused on bringing the Web3 space into the basketball community, especially on the on the ground floor, because that's where it has happened. It has happened on the ground first. So I did actually have a couple questions, if you guys don't mind, as I was sitting here taking my notes. So the first question I wanted to ask both of you is a little bit of why on how do you plan on onboarding, I guess, basketball into the space via the docu-series? I understand, but is there possible like an NFT collection that you might be making or anything like that in the future?
So yes, we have a couple of ideas going on right now. We're planning on dropping that mini docu-series as an NFT, and then
Okay.
dropping photos, like B-roll photos associated with that mini docu-series as NFTs too. We'd also
Oh,
like to tap in with the community, and maybe with those drops, depending on who owns certain things that we drop, actually have the opportunity to kind of direct maybe the mini docu series or what we do moving forward. So um, those are like the incentives. That's what we've been thinking about. There's going to be incentives with purchasing our photos or purchasing our mini docu series. Like we're trying to have or cultivate family. So we're not just trying to drop something and then you just purchase and that's it. We're still trying to have you immersed in our community and really get to know people, right? And have them
right.
participate in whatever we're doing. So we're trying to have like a life, not a lifelong, but like we're trying to really cultivate relationships with individuals that purchase our works.
Well, I think that's awesome. That sounds amazing. Like possibly giving like, the opportunity to those who invest and find value in you to also to add value where they see needed. Like that sounds amazing. My next question is, so I'm going to kind of it's still sports related, and it's not necessarily what you talk about. I just kind of want to know what you guys think about this. So according to a Morning Consult 2020 study, they found that Gen Z fans consume all sports content less frequently, right? And are half as likely to watch sports material than millennials. But they do prefer platforms like YouTube and Instagram for their Gen Z that they go to view sports, right? And sports, consuming anything sports, and it actually tends to be heavier on clips and things like that. So with this type of shift, what do you think we can expect to see from the future fans who are consuming the sports material in the Web3 space? How do you think we can see them interacting with the Web3 space? And that's just your opinion.
Like I feel like once things like to get people really excited, that's why these metaverses are gonna be like crucial. Like I feel like having like activations and like a crypto voxels or something like that. Like Twitch is gonna be extremely big. I feel like it's not just gonna be for gaming. It's gonna be for all types of creators. I've seen DJs on Twitch, doing play sets and playlists and doing all these different things. So I think having like activations in these metaverses are going to be a big deal to get people to interact and to get them activated. Like we plan on maybe potentially having like, when we do basketball activations in real life, we want to have a digital version of that as well, so people can go and and explore and do it, just do it in a different way to get them excited about
Right.
Sports. So that would be my answer to that.
That does sound awesome. And I guess they're seeing that a lot. Like the shift is going towards like, they want to collect the NFTs of specific players, or maybe specific
Right.
clips as you talked about doing possibly with your docu-series. And so that definitely seems to be where the shift is. And I too believe, just from the study that I was reading, I do believe that in the future, you possibly won't even have as many fans going to the actual stadium. It'll be more of a like, how can I participate, like, through, like you said, metaverses and things like that, and still show that I'm a fan of like, this certain team or this certain person. So absolutely, I'm excited to see that. I did want to say that when Shantae, when you said that it's time to respect women athletes, And I want to say, yes, that is so true. Because in this space, the thing about this space, though, it really gives us the opportunity to showcase and put women on the forefront and really build what you guys are saying, what you want to see, which is more more reverence given to female athletes and given to their abilities, and not just their physical abilities, but their mental abilities as well, and how oftentimes that can actually make them better players than their male counterparts, but just simply because their male counterparts, like, get more attention or get more exposure, then they are kind of left to the sideline. But I do want to say that I absolutely agree with you when you said that it is time for us to respect women's athletes, and I think that them being able to monetize in the Web3 space in a new way in which they never were before will definitely create that unique opportunity for us to be able to see them more and build a space that we want to see, So I just want to say kudos to that. And I 100% agree with you on that, Shantae. So I do have one last question for both of you guys. And it kind of is a little bit of touch on what we said before, but I want to know, how do you, and this is for both of you, so I want both of you guys to answer, how do you see the future of sports in the Web3 space? Like your ideal future, if somebody gave you a magic ball, crystal ball, and said, like, just wish for it and it's going to appear. Like, what would you like to see in sports and in Web3, how those spaces combine? I think you might be muted, Brittany.
No, I was just pondering. That's a great question. I really feel like the future of sports
was broken up. So I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brittany.
I said, I really feel like the future of sports is essentially going to be what we talked about, right? Like, we seen it during COVID, like how people are not going to be in real life as much, right? We seen a lot of people being in as fans on these digital screens and interacting that way. I feel like it's going to be a vast mix of in real life and digital programming moving forward. Like, there's going to be an opportunity to really mesh and mold the two. I really see that. Like, we're already seeing it with NBA Top Shot. Like, if they're incentivizing Top Shot holders to come to events in real life. If you hold this card, you can enter the giveaway to become a VIP member at the Brooklyn Nets game when they play against, the Golden State Warriors, Steph Curry. Like, they're making the experiences that we're going to be able to get people to experience. Like, it's going to be really top tier. Like, people are now going to have access to their favorite players. Like, you're going to be able to do meet and greets with these people. Like, it kind of just reminds me of, like, back in the day when, like, hip hop was first starting and you had access to, KRS-One and stuff like that when they were throwing these block parties. Like, I feel like it's going to come back to that. Like, it's cyclical. It's coming back to a time where we can really be fans and really be activated and really have access to the influencers and the people that we really love to engage with.
Excellent. Absolutely. So Shantae, just so you can hear the question was, what do you see for the future, and what in your ideal future for the merging of sports and the Web3 space? Like, what would you like that to look like? Were you able to hear me?
Thank you for repeating that.
Yeah.
Because my Wi-Fi was tripping out. I I caught some of what Brittany was saying with just having, like, that real life piece being important, and I think really tapping into making those experiences creative. So, like, Brittany's a chef, so like, getting creative with your talents and your creativity and bringing that to the people while feeding them knowledge is going to be important, right? How can we make this fun and how can we make this lit but also educational, right?
Right.
So it can look like so many different things. Like Brittany said, I like music, so I don't know, having a bunch of having a panel with a DJ there, or just having DJs talking about their experiences about, I don't know, creating capsules. And there's so many different ways and ways in which you could do this. But I think doing the basic things that we've been, I don't want to call it basic, but the regular things that we've been doing with just having a panel, or just having people talk, or just having people ask questions, we got to step it up to have people engage in these things, and want to stay tapped into these things. So I think I heard what Brittany said, with just, having those real life events, and finding cool and creative ways to engage audience is going to be really important. um
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree with
Can
that
I
as
just
well.
add?
Yeah,
Can I just
go
add?
ahead.
I just want, like Shantae said, is now an opportunity for us to like really show our most authentic selves. And all the skills
Right.
that we have, we can now bring that to the forefront within
Right,
the
because
space.
they're not just athletes, right? Like we started out the conversation, you guys started the presentation. Like, you're not just athletes. There's more of that, and I guess giving the fans the opportunity to connect on multiple levels, like, different type of access than we've ever seen before, is definitely going to be, like, innovative and transformative to this space. And the way that Web3 technology is going to play a role in that is, like, it remains to be seen, like, because we're still out here developing, right? Yeah,
I
absolutely.
think that's the beautiful thing about blockchain. Like, even with, like, forget the athletic and sports talk, but this just allows you to be your most authentic self. And I think that's really important, just because of how society has all of it. Like, get out of that shell. You're a person,
Right.
I'm a person, we're not robots, we're family, we're sisters and we're brothers. And this allows us to really support one another while being who we've always wanted to be, right? And getting rid of those social constructs. This is what this opportunity presents us with, and I just want everyone to take advantage of that. Like, yeah, like, every all the fakeness, all the shells that you have to put on. Not really, and
Absolutely.
settings and all of that, is done with, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They beat that creativity out of our heads, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's now time to tap back into that. Go back to your childlike state. What are things that you like to do as a child? What are things that
Yeah.
you loved as a child? That's the beautiful thing about this space. It just allows you to be able to do that. I never,
Mm-hmm.
like, granted, I've always, like Brittany said, I've always loved the arts. I've always loved music. But yes, I'm an attorney, but I haven't had the opportunity to really tap into that because I've been so busy. Right? And it's like, but these things bring me joy. These things bring me happiness, and I'm still able to tap in with my community and do that. Right? So I think everybody needs to take advantage of this opportunity that we're being given to just be yourself, and love what you're doing. And create wealth, right? And generational wealth and education and all of those things that all of our ancestors have been talking about for so long. We're able to do that now. So that's all I had to say. I went on a little rant, but yes.
No, absolutely. Listen, I'm all here for it. I love to have these conversations. So please don't apologize. So before we wrap up right here and go take a little break, I wanted to just get with you guys and ask, how can those who are viewing this now or in the future, how can they connect with you on projects? Where's the best place to follow you and things like that?
Britt, you want? Okay. Well, on Instagram we're at 21 titles, and on Twitter 21 titles. Just follow us, DM us, and we answer. We don't act Hollywood. We're gonna talk to the people. So yeah, just tap in with us. We're always here to support Black and brown people. And that's what we're here to do.
Excellent, excellent.
But,
So thank you, ladies, so much. Oh, go ahead, Brittany. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
yeah, and you can follow us on like my personal accounts as well on
Yes.
Twitter. I'm Wellness Brit. That's 3 S's, 2 T's on all social platforms. So please hit me up. I'm always willing to engage. Any questions you have, DMs. We also have a website, 21titles.com. if y'all want to visit that, leave us a message there as well. So yeah, don't be shy. We don't bite.
Well, thank you guys so much for your time. We're excited to see that you are creating in this space. I'm excited to hear about those projects and how they're coming along. Everyone, if you're listening here, make sure to tap into Discord. All this information, their social medias will be posted in the Discord, as well as you can contact them and discuss their future and the projects that they're doing right now and how they're developing. So thank you, ladies, so much for your time. I really appreciate you being here. Really gave me some stuff to think about on like a topic that I'm not necessarily interested in, like sports, but I know I have like nieces and nephews who are playing and they're coming up in this age. And like, I'm trying to put everybody into Web3. Like if you're interested in something, I want to figure out what you're interested in and figure out how to put you in Web3 in that thing. So I really appreciate you guys taking the time out today and coming to speak with us. And if you guys have any final thoughts or comments before we go head out to a break.
I just wanted to say thank you guys for the opportunity. This was great. I love what you guys are doing here with the International Women's, blockchain. Like, please, I hope that this gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And we are forever supporters of this. So thank you again for the opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ladies.
Yes, I'm just echoing. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
My Wi-Fi again, but thank y'all so much. And we really appreciate y'all cultivating this community. We're here to support any way that we can. So thank y'all.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and take a quick 5-minute break and we'll be right back with more.
All right, man, that was fantastic. Getting to meet those wonderful ladies and what they're bringing to this whole space with Web3. Wow. I mean, it gives people a lot of insight into how, we're navigating through this space. I think it's very much important that we come with our authentic self, like Shantae mentioned, that Web3 is all about bringing who you are, no masking, no perpetrating, just bring yourself, and you will see that there's a space for you. And I think there's comfort in that, right? There's comfort in knowing that
Absolutely.
we pretend to be somebody that we're good,
Absolutely.
and I love that.
I love that as well. And just the idea that like this innovation is going to allow a new level of equality, like, right, when it comes to compensation, like in sports for women and how they can monetize themselves, or in like, in this basketball in general. And I was actually reading an article and it was saying that there are different ways that like, NFTs will be used in the space, like not just from collectible, like one-time experiences, like to ticket purchases, but all the way to, you get to develop and create maybe even something with a basketball or a sports star that you never would have had the opportunity to do before. And so, and then bringing your authentic self to that space. And then like, I could see it where you're making a connection with like, your favorite sports team or star, and something that you would have never been able to do right now. And so it's really great. And I know there are a lot of athletes that are getting involved in this space. And I love to hear that. And I love to hear that they're creating, this platform and creating new ways to educate people and bring more onboarding, because we all know we need more adoption. Like people we got to get them in, and so it's great that we can tap in so many different ways. I absolutely agree.
As you mentioned, a lot of athletes are jumping into this space, and I'm seeing them coming in through NFTs, right? They're creating NFTs, and it's kind of like it's actually wonderful, because if you think about it, right?
Right.
Always had like those sports cards, right?
Uh-huh.
Where you collect, a rookie card and all that thing, and that may go up in value. But now it's like on a global scale, you have an opportunity to actually collect an NFT that can replace rookie cards, right? Because those NFTs, you can embed royalties, right? I'm sorry, rarities, right?
Yeah.
If I have a rookie card of a player and there's something special attached to it, if that player makes it to the NBA, then it's just like, wow, right? Then it's
right.
Like, oh my God, I'm sitting on some gold mine here. And I have that. Like, I don't have to worry about losing it, right? Because
Right.
it's in my possession. And people are able to see that, this particular wallet address has that information. And I think that's a fantastic way of approaching this. And then as well as other things, like creating opportunities for people like Brittany and Shantae are doing, and making sure that they give back to community, because this whole thing is about community. I think there's significance in that, and knowing how you combine the two. That's just wonderful.
Absolutely. I think that when we're talking about opportunities being created, right, I think about the college athletes and them being able to begin the monetization, or even high school athletes who are really that good, being able to begin the monetization on their careers, like, early on, and what that could mean for the transfer and creation of generational wealth, especially because we know that, percentage wise, most of the athletes are, especially here in the US, are Black and brown, right? And so if they're able to begin the monetization of their careers early on through NFTs and, creating a space and a culture behind them as the player, right? Not necessarily even attached to a team, right? They can continue that generational wealth wherever they go. If they get traded, if they move to different cities, like these types of things, and that can still build and grow with them is an extreme like way to me, like to be able to eventually give back to community, like, because they'll be able to, they're right there in the colleges, in the high schools with the students who are becoming their fans now. Like, oh yeah, I knew you in high school. Like, it's not just like how we have now. Like, oh yeah, I went to the same high school. It's like, no, I went to their high school. I bought their NFT. I was at the games with them. Then they went to college. Like, I could just see the transformation of, like, how something like this, could continue to, like I said, build wealth and help them to really monetize their own careers in the way that they see fit. And now not needing, like, like a lot of the space is about not needing that third party, that intermediary, to really determine certain things for them. So I think it's a super unique opportunity. And I'm so happy that somebody is out here, these ladies are out here doing this work that's necessary to bring the community forward.
Yeah, I agree. As you were mentioning, it's true, because some of us did grow up with like athletes that did go up to go to the NBA. I was one of those people. I actually had a few in I guess my vicinity or my schools that I went to. So that was exciting. And then being able to say, hey, I went to school with this person. And, like I didn't have, besides like yearbooks, right? I didn't really have anything else to be like, yeah, this is proof, right? But now you got, and at the same time, they don't necessarily have to go up to be NBA athletes, right?
Yeah.
From ladies, we saw the fact that a lot of them went on to be great things. Like you have a congresswoman, cluster, you have a lot of attorneys, you have professors, right? And so a lot. And then you have doctors too. So, being able to say, you know what, I collected your rookie card when you were in high school. There's a few now. I mean, I think how fantastic would that be to be able to say, I own this and I remember when you did this, right?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah, I think just so many different things now. Like I said, now my mind, my wheels are spinning. And like I said, I have several nieces and nephews who play sports now, and they're on, like, the platforms like Discord, and, they're touching, they're understanding like what NFTs are, but teaching them how, like, it's time to, think about how you can utilize this in the future, because like you said, it might not, maybe you don't grow up to be, a famous athlete, but maybe you become utilizing one of the platforms that the ladies were discussing, like Twitch, right? They become a commentator on Twitch based off of your high school career, because you've kept in touch with the community, you've kept in touch with the sport, and you still have, like, valuable opinions, and people find value in that. And now you have a whole new following here. And so it's a great idea. And it's wonderful that, we're bringing this to the forefront. And I'm hoping that everybody is prepared to tap in, and tapping into the Discord to further the conversation with Shantae and Brittany, see how we can continue to support them on their journey into bringing this Web3 into the basketball space. And because I'm sure, like, it doesn't just start with Brooklyn, right? It might start there, but as we know, the metaverse is vast, and it's literally limited, as you're saying, only by your imagination. Like, if you thought about these things as being a kid, like, you can tap back into that now. The metaverse and Web3 space allows you to do that now. And so how amazing is that? How cool is that? Like, it's and then, like, creating something new out of that as well. Like, this space is just really blows my mind every time I have a conversation with somebody. I'm like, whoa, oh yeah, like that makes sense. Or, oh, what else could we do with it? So it always blowing my mind. I could say that.
Yeah, mine too. And I just remember it's March Madness, right? Around this time, right?
It's March Madness.
Imagine, like, instead of brackets, you're now like dealing with like a gamified NFT bracket. Hey, I just put that out there.
Hey. Right. You heard it here.
To be like, yeah, I got these cards. These are my NFTs, right? My brackets. And if any one of these players make it, then, incentivize, like things like that. Is the opportunities are endless. The possibilities are there. I can't wait for people to start tapping into that creativity. And we have a whole host of, more information to provide people in regards to and how they could be applied to things that we're doing right now in IRL. And in several other aspects of different industries. But with that, I'm going to leave you and let you introduce our next
Thank
speaker.
you. Thank you, Yinka. Okay. Our next speaker is Megan Monroe. And Megan Monroe is one of our sponsors. She works for one of our sponsors, our biggest sponsor, and we really appreciate our sponsor, Block. And they are the parent company to Cash App and Square. And so thank you so much for being with us today, Megan. Welcome.
Hi, how you doing? It's great to be here today. This is my first time joining International Women in Blockchain, and I've been in blockchain for a while, so I don't know what I was thinking before now.
Well, we're excited to have you. We're so geeked about the fact that you guys have sponsored us, and can't wait to see what you have presenting for us today. So, without further ado, I'll let you go ahead and introduce yourself and take it away.
Thank you. Well, that was a hard act to follow. I'm going to talk to you guys about compliance and regulation in the crypto space. So probably not as exciting, but hey, maybe it is, maybe it is. Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be here. Quick intro. I'm the compliance leader for TBD at Block, formerly Square. TBD stands for to be decentralized. We're focused on building an open source, decentralized marketplace to connect users with crypto, DeFi, NFTs, and traditional payment channels. We plan to facilitate this through a new technology called digital identity. And this allows us to build a platform that considers compliance obligations like KYC and AML as part of the inherent design and gives users more control over their own identity and their personal information to decide who they want to share it with. I've been in the blockchain community for over 4 years now. I've worked for a couple major global crypto exchanges, including Huobi, Coinbase, and OKCoin. In that time, I've seen it all. I'm here to share my story with you guys and hopefully provide a little bit of education about the regulatory environment around blockchain and crypto. A couple things about me that might explain kind of where I'm going with this is I'm a huge consumer of information. I want to understand the facts, the data before I form an opinion about anything or make a decision. And so given my experience in the industry, I'm in a really fortunate position of getting direct access to a huge amount of data about blockchain, crypto, everything, the regulations, the new technology, what's happening overall in the landscape. And so I'm fortunate to be able to take all of that and share what I've learned with you guys today. One of the things I have learned is that the biggest threat to the community is really misinformation. FUD is incredibly effective at validating the fear and uncertainty that already exists around blockchain technology and inhibiting adoption by, your average consumer. So, I get it. Blockchain, crypto, Bitcoin, whatever you want to refer to it as, is complicated. It's scary. But the reality is it's going to change how we all think about finance and how we use money. And the goal is disrupting traditional banking services, which aren't working for everyone. All this basically makes it a pretty easy target for misinformation. So it's easy for us and others to believe the negative things we read or watch on TV, as opposed to taking the time to understand more. So I'm hoping today I can change some of that, give you guys a more accurate and complete picture about the regulatory environment, and some realities about operating within the law in this space today. Format today is I'll take you through some common questions and misconceptions about blockchain. We'll talk about the regulatory environment. We'll talk about why it's important to support the community. I'll touch on subjects that you might have seen in the news, like Bitcoin mining, the very common misconception that Bitcoin and blockchain is only used by criminals. So let's get started. All right, my first question is, why should we embrace cryptocurrency, blockchain, Bitcoin, whatever you would like to call it? I'm going to, answer this with one of my favorite quotes at the moment, which is from the Bitcoin Policy Institute. Humans rarely, if ever, uninvent new technology. Bitcoin and cryptocurrency is here to stay. And that couldn't be closer to the truth. Cryptocurrency is not going to fail. It's pretty clear after 11 years of the massive growth we've seen in this industry and the sheer volume of companies operating in this space that this is not going anywhere. It's only going up from here. I don't know if you guys know this, but there are 600 plus crypto companies or startups operating in the US today. Investors in the US have invested over $10 billion in this industry. And we're attracting talent from all over the world. some of the biggest brands are based here. Coinbase, my old company, Square, Block, which is what we're called now, has been in crypto for years, interestingly. And so, and in addition to that, the customers and people that live here have made us like the top 10, US top 10 of crypto trading activity globally, which is saying a lot. Crypto was, regulated pretty early in the US. And so while today you guys might have seen in the news a lot of kind of confusion from policymakers around crypto, trying to understand if it's regulated or not, you'll see news articles which will be like, should we regulate crypto? Which I find somewhat hilarious. Reality is crypto is fairly regulated in the US. And despite all of that, it is actually a pretty friendly environment or regulatory environment for crypto. So let's hope the latest executive order that just came out last week or the week before from Biden is taken seriously. He's tasked a number of different agencies with researching and reporting on key aspects of the blockchain to determine, what they're going to do next, what the risks are, how they might want to implement further regulation. And companies like mine, Block, are prepared to help them along the way and offer support and information to make sure that they're getting accurate data about the realities of this industry. So I cannot stress enough how important education is. One example, interestingly, in the US is, I don't know if you guys knew this, but the US is now officially the global leader in Bitcoin crypto mining. And this occurred only recently. In fact, last year, China cracked down on crypto mining activities around June 2021. And as a result, as they blocked all of this, made it illegal to mine in China, the mining activities moved to the US, Kazakhstan, and Canada. And again, may not be aware, but China has historically controlled 65% of Bitcoin mining activity globally. So as their hash rate fell to zero, we saw mining activities transitioning outside of China to other countries. Kazakhstan came out of, was out of the running because of their energy crisis. And so the result is the US took a huge proportion of that remaining hash rate, and we've emerged as a leader in actually Bitcoin mining. Now, what followed after this kind of amazing transition of mining activity from China to the US was not like what I was hoping for, which was this embracement of crypto and recognition of this like amazing transition of power from one, global, superpower to another. Unfortunately, what we got was a pretty hostile dialogue started to emerge, targeting the industry for environmental impact, right? So, again, mining, of course, there are the facts and figures associated with that, which I'll walk you through a little bit later too. But the environmental impact has been, a huge part of the discussion in the news and with the administrators lately. And this is fueled partially by concerns from environmentalists in Seneca Lake in New York, where they've objected to converting an existing power plant to be used for Bitcoin mining. Also, last year, a New York Senate bill was proposed, which puts bans on certain mining activity in New York State. And in general, there's just been this kind of negative rhetoric targeting the whole proof of work consensus mechanism because of its energy consumption. And interestingly, some of that's been fueled by kind of Ethereum side of the camp in an attempt to promote Ethereum over BTC and all that sort of fun stuff. So reality here is that blockchain and crypto is a strategic advantage for any country. We've already determined it's not going away. It's a new technology that is only growing in kind of market share and awareness and adoption. And in the US, we are in a very, strategic position to be able to take advantage of a lot of that. It's complex. There's a ton of innovation in this space, but with careful analysis and deep understanding, we can get people on board. I think we're at a really unique turning point in the industry where regulators are actually asking to learn more, right? This is a topic of conversation, despite all of the crazy things going on, the war in Ukraine, various other things that are a big deal. We're still talking about crypto at like the highest levels. So that's a good thing, right? And that's an opportunity for us to kind of use this time to educate and provide the right information and kind of, defud a lot of the bad information that's out there. So the question is, will the lawmakers see the potential, and are they willing to do the work to really understand blockchain and cryptocurrency? I think it's up to all of us who know better, who have experience with this industry, to help educate others, to help educate lawmakers, policymakers, and make sure that we can promote this groundbreaking new technology. All right, I'll move on to my second question. And this one, I don't know, I think it's fun because this is how I've been living my life for the past 4 years, but is cryptocurrency and blockchain regulated? The answer to that is yes, it's highly regulated. And it's a common misconception that it's not. Interestingly, crypto is regulated in most countries around the world. And fully regulated. There are a few that have banned it. So there's a couple kind of like partial bans or like consumer advisories. China's a good example. Mexico, Vietnam, and Turkey all have some sort of kind of partial or full ban in place on crypto. But other than that, there's really, mostly embracing of this technology. There are a few countries who have yet to make kind of an official statement or decision around kind of the legality of crypto, India being one of them. They've proposed bans in the past, but have not made any final decisions. And then recently, this year, there was an announcement from the finance minister to start taxing crypto transactions. So we're kind of seeing that as a move in the right direction of, crypto is actually something that they're going to embrace and accept. And it's a huge part of their economy today. Background on crypto regulations, most of the Western world and Asia has leaned into embracing crypto regulations and pretty early on. So really comprehensive, robust crypto frameworks exist in the US, in Canada, in the European Union, in the UK, in Japan, in Singapore. So a lot of these kind of big economies have already decided it's something that they want to regulate. US was, I think, one of the first to regulate crypto. There was some stuff going on in the EU, but I think we were officially the first. Back in 2013, FinCEN, which is a financial crimes enforcement network, and the state regulators built this into their money transmission rules. We also have the SEC and the CFTC in the US that regulate activity depending on the types of products. And all of these agencies for years have been regulating, auditing, examining crypto companies, and regulating through enforcement action to kind of call out bad actors and companies that are looking to avoid regulation. So not only in the US is this regulated activity, but you're in a situation where the regulators are used to it. They have been they're comfortable with reviewing it, understanding the environment, and so they're calling out bad actors, and that kind of helps just clean up the whole industry as a whole. In the US, crypto is regulated based on product type. So if it's a security, determined to be a security token, then that's regulated by the SEC. The CFTC regulates futures products, derivatives, margin lending, and then FinCEN regulates pretty much everything else. Things like exchanges, so crypto exchanges, issuers who are not securities, crypto payment space, wallet providers that are providing custody. And then there are some areas that are completely unregulated. Things like DeFi, right, is still unregulated in the US. Self-custody or non-custody wallets, currently unregulated in the US as well. So there are certain business models that just do not fit within our current regulatory framework. The EU has taken a more consolidated approach. So they have this existing payment services and electronic money directives, and they the first regulator in Europe was Luxembourg to actually provide a license to a crypto exchange, and that was Bitstamp back in April 2016. EU is also coming out with a more comprehensive regulatory framework based on the local AMLD, which is anti-money laundering regulations, called MiCAR. Some people call it MiCA, and it's expected to be finalized in 2022. And that is, way more comprehensive, specific to crypto itself. Japan's been a leader in crypto regulation for a while. They launched in 2017 a comprehensive but closed-looped crypto regime and introduced a legal definition for virtual currency. Singapore is another good example. They took a little bit longer to formalize their crypto regulations and didn't announce formal adoption under the payments law until 2019. And it's regulated via the Monetary Authority of Singapore, or MAS. And that resulted in an huge influx of companies moving and opening up operations in Singapore and applying for a license. There was actually 176 that applied in 2020, and about half of those have either withdrawn their application or been rejected by MAS. So it'll be interesting to see over time how the rest of those companies, I guess, succeed in that space, or hopefully succeed in that environment. All right, summary, right? We've learned that crypto is highly regulated across the globe. Good luck to anyone who's looking for a jurisdiction that doesn't regulate crypto or is trying to avoid regulation. That is a lot harder today than it was, 5-10 years ago. Even the offshore countries have comprehensive crypto regimes in place. Bermuda is the new kind of like hot offshore location for crypto because they've got a pretty transparent and robust framework in place, and they're pretty crypto friendly as well. So I'm hoping all of that does something to dispel any rumor that crypto is the wild, wild west or that it's remotely unregulated. Yes, you're going to find some unregulated entities out there, but a lot more than not, you're going to find regulated entities. And it's very easy to check that information on the website if you're looking to interact with a particular company. All right. I'll go into one of my favorite topics next, kind of a little bit of a deviation. Is mining cryptocurrency bad for the environment? This has been a hot topic for several months, and actually was something that was raised last year as well. But I'll kind of walk you through the realities, some facts and figures, and then you can kind of decide for yourself what you think. Reality, most things are technically bad for the environment. So we're all mining fossil fuels. We're driving around in cars, taking airplanes. We're, tearing down, forests to put crops in. We're raising livestock. You and I are using refrigerators and clothes dryers, right? But the reality is our society depends on these things. So we don't necessarily associate what we're doing with like energy consumption, even though obviously it is. So I would argue the real question here is, what is the impact of crypto mining on the environment, right? Is it bad? Yeah, everything's bad. Using energy in itself is bad for the environment. So that's not really the right question to ask. Okay, walk you through kind of answering that in a couple different ways. First off, yes, reality, Bitcoin mining does consume large amounts of energy. We're not going to kind of, get away from that fact. It does. However, in comparison, as a benchmark, right, crypto mining uses far less energy than most activities that I described above: transportation, agriculture aspects. Well, okay, that's not energy consumption, but it is bad for the environment. Some of the kind of everyday things that we use in our homes, etc. So, let's use an example: aviation, not just all of transportation, but just like planes and all that sort of fun stuff getting from A to B. Aviation consumes 65 times more energy than Bitcoin mining globally, 65 times more. The closest comparison I could find was actually tumble dryers. So if you're drying your clothes and you don't like hanging them out on a line, like most of us don't, you are using twice the energy of Bitcoin mining globally. So that's probably a more fair comparison to use. And hopefully gives you a better idea of like just how much energy really this is consuming worldwide. But the reality is society doesn't really question the use of energy for these reasons, right? Like, I want dry clothes, I want cold food. And so, we view these as valuable. Bitcoin doesn't necessarily have the same status yet within our society. Second thing, about crypto mining is it's actually has this strategic advantage of being highly portable. You may not think that. When you think of crypto mining, you think of like these giant data centers, right? But the reality is like the servers themselves are portable, right? You can pick them up and you can move them. And what that means is that these mining companies can move their servers to the actual source of certain energy sites. So like renewables, wind, solar, hydroelectric. And they use basically excess energy or runoff energy that otherwise isn't even making it to the grid. So miners are intensely attracted to low-cost energy, which we have a lot of in the US, mostly on the renewable side. And so they're more likely to participate in government subsidies. They're participating in grid rebalancing programs in Texas. And they're doing all of this for the sole purpose of being able to kind of lower their operating costs and increase their profit margin, because it's a very thin one, depending on the price of Bitcoin. So reality, these dynamics make Bitcoin mining pretty much close to perfectly positioned to drive miners to seek more energy efficient, cheaper, often wasted or excess forms of power. So it's actually in their best interest to go towards the renewables. So if you're thinking about it from that perspective, we've got the fact that yes, it's using energy, but in comparison to other products and services that we're using, it is far lower on the scale. And then you've got the fact that, crypto miners themselves, because of their whole profit model, are going to be more attracted to renewables, which is, of course, better for the environment. So I'll close with just saying that, the issue with Bitcoin mining and energy consumption is honestly less about the actual energy consumed and more about the fact that society as a whole doesn't really view cryptocurrency as having the same inherent value as some of these other things. And our goal is to change that over time. All right, I'll go to my last question. And this is a little bit of a fun one, but easy if you come from kind of the background that I do. How much illegal activity is actually conducted via the blockchain? You guys have probably heard numbers, you hear things thrown around about ransomware, and all of the scary stuff, and like Bitcoins for criminals, and it's you can hide things via the blockchain, and some of that is true, but let's talk about the facts here. The very transparency of a distributed ledger, which is Bitcoin technology itself, is that it makes it a challenge for criminals to disguise transactions. Basically, combine that with the fact that you don't have widespread adoption for crypto. It is still very nascent technology. Not everyone is comfortable using it. We don't have huge liquidity available globally for it. And so you combine those two things, and it's really not a very attractive avenue for criminals to conduct activity. And what that has what's come out of that is essentially that blockchain is pretty much, or criminal activity on the blockchain is about a very small percentage of the overall volume. A report by Chainalysis, which is a blockchain analytics company, showed that in 2021, illicit or illegal activity via the blockchain, or specifically for Bitcoin, was about 0.15% of the total activity. So very, very small percentage. On the other side, we've got kind of your traditional money laundering through the banking system. So the total amount of money laundered through traditional banking systems is estimated to be about $300 billion a year globally. It's 300 billion globally. It's about 300 million just in the US. Compare that to the blockchain, where criminals laundered about 6 billion in cryptocurrencies in 2020. So that's 50 times more criminal activity being channeled through traditional banking systems. So the data shows that, in comparison, illegal activity is not being conducted through the blockchain, but in fact, people are just using their traditional channels that have existed for years, and not all of them are transitioning over to crypto. Other kind of interesting factors to consider, and that also make blockchain pretty unattractive for criminal activity, is that it's not anonymous, right? I think hopefully you guys know this, if you're in this space, but crypto or blockchain itself is actually pseudo-anonymous. Now, there are some privacy coins like Monero, for example, and Zcash that do hide the data layer of the blockchain, but they're rare. There's 2 or 3 out of like an entire population of different currencies. And so the reality is the real identity of the crypto ownership can be linked in a variety of different ways. Number one, you have kind of the whole concept of how you get crypto, right? So, if you want to buy crypto, you essentially have to go through a regulated exchange. Which all these exchanges have KYC controls and money laundering procedures in place. Think of this as like, what we call this the integration layer. It's a money laundering term, which basically stage of money laundering where the criminal deposits funds from their criminal activity into the financial system with the intention of hiding the source of the funds themselves, and then moving that through multiple different transactions and getting it out on the other end as kind of clean, right? Hence money laundering. So basically how this works is, in order to participate in the blockchain ecosystem, you either have to mine the tokens directly, not really possible for your average person. I can't mine. I don't have the energy consumption. I don't have the tools available. Neither do most people. So that's not really an available option. Therefore, you have to purchase the tokens through a financial institution or a fintech, Cash App, Coinbase, Venmo, a bank, whoever's selling them, right? Which means that ultimately, you're using US dollars, euros, whatever currency you're operating in, to pay to buy a particular cryptocurrency, and you're doing that all through a regulated entity. What that means is there's a record of who bought those assets from the purchasing entity, and there's a record of all of the transactions on the blockchain. So the combination of these two things gives you complete transparency about the origin of the funds, the identity of the person or entity who bought them, and then the path that those tokens, those assets have taken along the blockchain, regardless of how many transfers you make between different wallets, central exchanges, decentral exchanges, mixers, etc. All of that is recorded. And you also have kind of that integration piece being recorded with actual identity data, which is required by US government and pretty much every other government out there. So reality by design, blockchain's very transparency gives law enforcement and government authorities powerful tools to track, trace illicit activity, and seize funds from criminals looking to, do bad things on our lovely network. My favorite example of this fact is actually happened very, very recently. If you haven't heard about this, I highly recommend you look it up. So I think it was February this year, so not long ago. The Department of Justice recently recovered $3.6 billion in Bitcoin from a 2016 hack of the Bitfinex exchange. It was identified that a New York-based couple, Ilya Lichtenstein and Heather Morgan, stole the funds back in 2016 and proceeded to launder them through a variety of different kind of cryptocurrency mixing activities and different exchange platforms. However, they left 95,000 Bitcoin in a wallet that they used to send the original funds after the hack. The couple themselves are huge characters. Heather Morgan is an amateur rapper and YouTuber who refers to herself as Razzle Khan, and in her raps talks about herself as the crocodile of Wall Street. I don't know what that means. I can't make this stuff up. It's too hilarious. The two of them are obviously have been arrested, and they face a maximum of 25 years in prison. So, again, this was all easily traceable through the blockchain. And while criminals and others may have some misinformation about the ability for this to be traced, the reality is it can be. All right. Well, that's it for me. I'd like to conclude to just thank you guys for taking the time to listen to me and talk about crypto regulations and compliance. It's not always the most interesting topic, but when it comes to working in the blockchain industry, it's way more interesting than most others. There's always a lot going on in this space. It's never a dull moment. I'm a huge advocate for blockchain in the crypto community, and it's important to me that regulations are reasonable and they're designed with this new technology in mind. This is a total uphill battle. Regulators typically just want to take something they already have and kind of like slot it in there, right? This like square peg in a round hole or vice versa sort of thing. And so there's a lot of education that's important around helping them understand that some of these technologies and some of these products within the blockchain space just don't fit within existing regulations. So I think we've kind of done a good job of regulating the things that look like typical financial services or seem like them. And the regulations we have in place right now in the US are working to an extent. But if we have to get to a point of regulating things like unhosted wallets, technology solutions, DeFi, there's really going to have to be like a better understanding of the technology by the government, by the regulators, before they can kind of design something that works. Because taking existing financial services regulations and kind of plopping that on top of our DeFi platforms is just not the way to go. I'm confident we'll get there in the end. But I really enjoy kind of, the fun, the challenge. It's a new day every day, but a different problem that I have to deal with. And I've really been impressed with just like the learning about the technology. I learn new stuff every day, and just working with the community full of like passionate, interesting people who are committed to making this work and getting us to that future financial system that we're all hoping for. So that's it for me.
Thank you so much, Megan. I am ecstatic because I know you started out saying like, it's not fancy, it's not fun, it's not exciting. But for me, I think we're one and the same. Like this stuff, like I love to hear about it. I like to hear about like, how the regulation is going. I love to hear about the fact that Block is obviously very they're very keen on education, because I also know that they're supporting not just by having someone like you who's focused on this and understands the value in education that's working for the company, but I also know other initiatives that, like, they're supporting, like with via Naja Roberts, who we actually had on our stream before, in her endeavors, and how she's definitely trying to educate, get rid of the FUD and the FOMO, and really, we're really pushing the education in this space. So I want to tell you that it was exciting to me, and I appreciate it. So actually, we have a comment here that says, this definitely, again, someone is agreeing with this, says, this is definitely information that accurately describes the ins and outs of the blockchain technology. And they want to say thank you for sharing. I too want to tell you thank you. I do have a couple questions, if you don't mind.
Not at all.
Okay.
You can tell me just with this. So.
Yeah. So my first question is, I love the fact when you said that the biggest threat is misinformation to the blockchain technology. Absolutely. 100% agree. And with the FUD and FOMO out there, I want to know if you could tell us something, about some of the initiatives that Block is creating in order to help combat this FUD and FOMO, like on the ground, for those of us around the world.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a couple things that we're doing. We're working pretty closely with lawmakers and the regulators themselves to try to just educate them in one-on-one situations. It's not always the easiest thing to do, but that's absolutely something we kind of push for, regardless of whether they call us back or not, or answer the phone. But another thing too is actually putting out education pieces. So I don't know if you guys feel this way, but this has just been my experience. It's like, if as a company in blockchain, you don't have a voice, you don't say anything, then essentially you're obsolete, right? You actually have to speak up. I think a lot of other industries, especially like traditional finance and fintech, it's like better to kind of stay below the radar and just keep quiet, and you can kind of operate. But that's not how it works here. And so if you have good things to say and you have people who know what they're doing, you've got to get their voices out there. And that makes the whole difference. And you've got so many in blockchain competing voices and opinions, right? And so it's like a constant battle we all have, like trying to figure out like what's right, does this make sense, like what's going on here? And so the more voices that are educated out there kind of telling the community is really, really important. So we're looking at like education pieces. We're actually building a lot of that right now. What is Bitcoin? What are these risks? I'm putting together something on law enforcement. We're working with law enforcement directly and trying to educate them. We're getting involved in a lot of these like private partnership things that they're doing. Interesting thing about now versus a year ago, like the regulators weren't asking us, right? They were just like, we don't like blockchain, right? Like, it's scary, like all these criminals are using it. And like now we're actually getting requests. We're getting, like, it's a topic of conversation. So my argument is monopolize on that. Like, we don't know how long this is going to go on where they're going to actually care. So
yeah,
like jump on it, answer their questions, put more data out there that's accurate. I would say for everyone else who's looking up and trying to research things, I have like a rule, because I've learned the hard way. Never go to one source. Like you'll see one source, like, oh, look, this is really interesting. Look what happened with Binance. And then you don't find anything else anywhere else. There's a ton of false information out there. So you have to look for more than one source. And then you have to like deviate your sources from like different types of news outlets like Twitter, but then follow that up with like an actual news article. And then you're like, okay, yeah, that's real. Like there's a ton of misinformation out there. So just make sure you check more than one source, and then you can say, yeah, I know what that is.
Absolutely. And I really like the fact that you were saying that, like, through all these conversations and we would find out with checking our sources, essentially, that you could know there's already some regulation in this space, and that the US actually, we began regulating, like, very, very early. Bye, baby. That's my nephew. And with them beginning to begin the regulations, it actually kind of started with, like, kind of based on a lot of the regulations that we see right now is based on the product. Can you speak to like kind of what the other regulations, what they're kind of, I mean, maybe you might not be able to speak to this here, but what they might be looking for, and with the education piece, and how like some of the other regulation might be looking to like what the framework they want it to be, because I see we're regulating behind products, right? So then what are some of the other, I guess, options for regulation?
Yeah, product-based because you have like a multitude of different regulators, right? And so crypto, like we don't have a crypto regulator. There isn't someone who's like, hey, that's been created to say like, hey, I'm going to manage this entire industry. And so what you have is financial services regulators. It's considered a financial product of sorts. And so each of them are kind of taking pieces of the pie, which does make it more confusing for the industry, right? You kind of have to understand, well, what am I doing? And does this fall under SEC or does this fall under CFTC? And so like to use like an exchange, right? Like Coinbase or Gemini, for example, they've got a variety of different products. Some of their products are regulated by FinCEN. Some of their products are actually regulated by CFTC, and some could potentially be regulated by the SEC. And then with each of these three regulators, we have kind of like very different approaches too. FinCEN's an interesting one. They, like we said, early on, we're like, hey, we're regulating this. They gave us some pretty clear guidance. And then they've followed that up with like more detailed guidance about like exactly all the product models and what's regulated by them, with a caveat of like, hey, like if it's regulated by somebody else, then don't worry, we're not going to touch it. The SEC is taking a very different approach. Their approach is to yell a lot. And, you know, to kind of call people out and do kind of like investigations, and, you know, try to kind of get this through enforcement action. But we're not actually getting a lot of like clear guidance, right? So this whole concept of like, what's a security? You know, Gary Gensler is arguing that, you know, most of the tokens on exchanges are securities, but yet every single exchange has a control in place, a really annoying one that takes a lot of time to evaluate every single asset before you list it using the Howey test, which came from the SEC. And so it's like, well, if you think that's the case, then give us some information about why you think that's the case and what are some of those characteristics of securities that you're seeing listed on exchanges, because all we have is the Howey test. And we've been asking, and all we're getting is the Howey test. So we're right. So that one, CFTC has been a little bit of a hybrid. So that's kind of how I like separate them. CFTC was quiet for a long time. And there was like 2018, 2019, a lot of the exchanges were big into margin lending, which actually isn't great from a consumer financial protection perspective. So unless you have a lot of money, please don't do any margin lending. But they wanted to make that available to kind of like the general public in the crypto space. And so what happened is they did, you know, CFTC got involved. They started talking to the exchanges about the products, but in reality, it just turned out like what we wanted to build, the exchanges just didn't fit within the regulations. And so they kind of did this kind of quietly, a little bit behind the scenes, but with the like with the companies themselves, and then agreed on like, hey, no, this isn't working. Came out in, I think it was 2020 with some pretty clear guidance on like what constituted margin lending, what fell within their regulation and what didn't, because we were all trying to figure it out on our own and having separate conversations with them. So they kind of took all of those conversations and then they presented some pretty clear guidance to the industry. So, you know, it took them a little longer, but they did a lot of the same things that FinCEN did to make it, you know, it's all about just helping us understand what's going on here. And let's not pretend there are absolutely gray areas, right? Crypto is regulated. Doesn't mean it's like 100% regulated. There's a lot of gray. And that's why, you know, people like me and having people like me working for your company helps you kind of navigate some of those grays and, you know, put it in a position where, you know, yes, we take some risks, but we take calculated risks.
Absolutely. And I'm so happy to, like, again, just to know that, you know, Block is on the forefront of this education piece and of, like, you know, helping to handhold, like, if you will, like, you know, regulators and really give them, like, you know, good information, like solid information, and not, like, you know, allowing us in this space to be dismissed out of fear and FOMO. So that's always great to hear. Another question I had was, so when we're talking about the environmental impact and the backlash that a lot of the mining operations have gotten, and I know that there are a lot of, well, from what my education, what I've been seeing, actually, a lot of the companies that are doing legitimate mining, they're actually looking to the reusable energy sources, or creating, or the energy that they're using then to create a energy source for something else. So is that, are you hearing that that's being, like, you know, echoed a little bit more within, because it might not be, you know, coming to the masses just yet, but are you hearing, or are you hearing that it's being echoed a little bit more on those one-on-one conversations, or are you hearing that, like, you know, are you feeling that that they're receptive and they're understanding that this is kind of how mining is looking to move, and that there's actually might be even opportunity there for these lawmakers to create, like, you know, more reusable energy sources? Are they seeming like they're open to this idea, or, I mean, the fact, I guess?
I don't think so, not yet. And I hate to be, unfortunately, a little bit negative, but I don't think they're there yet. You know, there's a fabulous study called the Net Zero study that was done by Nick Carter. And if you haven't read it, I would absolutely recommend you read it. It walks through all of the realities of Bitcoin mining, environmental impact, all of these comparisons, tons of data. Because like I said, I'm like a data crazy, right? And that's kind of the challenge with lawmakers, right? Like, we have these studies that we've done within the industry, but they haven't done them, right? And they haven't done their own analysis. And that's what, you know, Biden's executive order on crypto is meant to do. It's giving specific roles to certain agencies to go out and research things, including environmental impact, and get back to him by the end of the year to say, like, this is what's actually going on. So we're hoping, you know, a lot of companies like ours can help ingest the right information, accurate information, data into those studies and research, and make sure that, yeah, by the end of the year they get there. But do I feel they're there now? No, definitely not.
Okay, so yeah, they're not there now. We're working on it. You know, fingers crossed.
It's fair too, if you think about it. Like, Bitcoin mining was mostly being done in China until mid last year, right? It only transferred to the US in like the past 6 months. So it's too new for us to even understand, like, have very, very accurate concrete data on like how much renewables we're using and how we're not. It's just we know a few facts, and so we can make some kind of, you know, educated assumptions about the facts that we have, which is like, we know it's expensive to mine Bitcoin. We know energy costs are high. And so we know that these guys are really focused on a lot of renewables and things like flare mitigation, like some really cool things that are actually benefiting the environment as a whole. But it's an easier, you know, mean message to be like, Bitcoin's ruining the environment. Like, that's a great soundbite, right? So.
Right. But like you said, not even considering the fact that, like, you know, we use so many things in our day to day that are ruining the environment. I mean, traditional financial institutions alone, you know, across the globe have a huge carbon, like, you know, footprint. If you think about it, much larger than Bitcoin mining. So absolutely. The last thing I wanted to know is, so when it comes to, you mentioned privacy coins, like, how private can a privacy coin really be if it's centralized? Because aren't those coins like centralized when people are trying to hide their wrongdoings? Like,
you're actually asking two questions. You're kind of asking, how centralized is decentralization, right? That's which is, yes, a lot of these assets are more decentralized in that they're supported by an entity, not like, you know, a disparate group of developers like Bitcoin is, but like an actual physical entity. But that physical entity designed it in that way to be anonymous on purpose. So they are less likely to basically open their doors to law enforcement if they're asked. And that's the reality, right? You saw Tether as kind of like an example of that. A couple of years ago with the DOJ, as they got in a lot of trouble about this, and it was because, you know, there was all this activity and Tether didn't want to share the information, right? So look, there's some good pieces coming out of the blockchain community about privacy. Like, privacy is important, and in today's day and age, we don't have any, right? I mean, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, and they're monitoring every single thing we're doing, and then they're sending us stupid ads that we don't want, right? And they're taking our data and then they're selling it to other companies to use for, like, you know, behavioral analytics. Great, right? We actually have very little privacy, and so we're hoping kind of this blockchain itself incorporates some of those elements of privacy, like the good parts about, like, hey, I want to be able to own my identity. I want to be able to control who I share this with. Like, those are all really positive kind of concepts that we can get out of blockchain to kind of get away from this, like, hey, now everything's visible to everybody and Big Brother's, you know, watching over us, versus like, hey, now I have a little bit more control over what I decide to do, who I share my information with, and where that goes. And the stuff we're seeing now, like, you sign into a website and you see a little like cookies thing, right? Like everyone's seen that.
Oh, everybody wants those
No,
cookies.
I don't want cookies spying on me, right? But like they make it like really hard for you to press don't spy on me. So
yeah. Like, and they're like, some of these are required. And I'm like, how do I know that? How do I know it's required?
I don't trust them.
Don't trust them.
Yeah, you're right. The narrow Zcash, very centralized entities, but they have made it's important to them to preserve the privacy of their customers. And there are some good reasons for that. So that's kind of how they are. But it kind of goes against the kind of basic core. Like they had to build some layer on top to kind of hide that, right? Like that was an additional build to the way in which blockchain's designed, which it's designed to be transparent. But not to share personal information along the blockchain. Just be clear, right? Transparency around understanding transactions and what's happening, but not actually putting people's data up there for all the world to see. Like that's an overshare and like an abuse of the platform. That's not what it was meant for.
All right, that's definitely a Web 2 problem. Okay, so I guess for my last question, before we wrap up and head right into a break really quickly, my last question is just for you, Megan. So what is your ideal, I like to ask everybody this, what is your ideal like vision for what you could see the Web3 space in the future? Like what would be your ideal vision?
That's a hard question because I don't know if everyone does this, but I first started reading about Web3 and I had one idea of what it was. And then I started digging into it and then I had a very different idea about what it is. So mine is about kind of what I said, the privacy preserving parts of it, right? Like what we want is, look, reality. Like the reason Web 2 is so like entity controlled, right, is because that provides a better user experience. And for years, we've gone from like clunky things, this whole fintech craze of like, hey, I have a cool, sleek app that does stuff, right? We love it. And we love things that are easy to use. The problem is that decentralization and the way that blockchain is designed to be decentralized is sometimes harder to use. And so going to Web3, we're going to have to balance a lot of these things. So we want decentralization. We want our data not being stored at particular companies. We want it to be distributed. We want ourselves to be able to control that, and that the possibility is there for all of that. But we're going to have to kind of give and take a little bit to have better user experience, or we're all just going to have to become techies. Like that's kind of the reality. It means harder to use. You having more control means you have to do more, and people are lazy and ultimately want to do less. So I think Web3 for me is going to be, if we do it right, is the kind of perfect, alignment between user friendliness and kind of like user experience with the core decentralized principles of blockchain, of privacy protecting, and people owning and controlling their own identity and their own money. So that's it.
Absolutely. I love that idea. And I 100% agree. Like if we're going to do it right, we got to do it to where we find that balance. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Megan. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break. I appreciate you for being here. This information was so valuable, and I hope everybody always takes my advice. I say on Worldwide Web3 Wednesdays is get your notepad, get your pen, because this is going to be some information you want to come back to. And I just want to say thank you so much. And I enjoyed the talk. This never bores me. I'm always like, yes, tell me more. So I will be definitely getting ready to connect with you in the Discord. Also want to say thank you to Block for being our sponsor for this event. We are so happy that it is like, a sponsorship in which we are sharing the same values of educating people in this space, because we have been preaching this since day one here for us, that we got to educate ourselves. We got to educate more people on what this space actually is, and so that they can come into space educated and not be victims of the FUD and the FOMO. So thank you so much. Thank Block as well. Again, if you're watching, make sure you connect with on the Discord. You might be able to ask some more pointed questions to Megan, and just continue to say thank you to everybody that's contributing to the space. So thank you again, Megan.
Thanks, Tam. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
All righty. Hey, Yinka. Yes. Oh, my goodness.
So, that last hour was fantastic. Okay.
Fantastic.
We got to dispel some myths. We got
Mm-hmm.
to add some knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
And Megan brought all the knowledge, I have to tell you. I mean, she gave it to us really in detail. And now we walk away with so much wealth of information, right?
Right.
That we know that this space is going to continuously grow. Because one of the things that she said is, it's time to stop thinking that this space is going to go away.
100%.
Regulations are changing, and industries are getting involved. And so this is real. This is not,
Mm-hmm.
this is real.
Yes.
And great to hear from someone like that.
And for her starting out, like you said, saying that this rarely, the quote that she said, rarely do we undo technology. Like, this is what this is. This is technology. And she's very right. I mean, we didn't go back to after you invented the wheel, we didn't go back to walking. After we invented the bicycle, we didn't go back to the wheel. These are things that it's kind of like when you put in perspective and think of it that way, it's like, well, yeah, obviously, right? This is technology. And the mass adoption is happening now. I used to say it's coming, but it's literally happening now, right? What's going to happen is we're going to wake up one day and then all of a sudden it's going to seem like it was always here, just like the internet, right? There's going to be generations that'll be born that are going to be like, oh, this technology has always been here. I've always been there. No, it's not. It hasn't always been there. But what happens is we have to build it. And as we're building it, it's adopting in the whole process. So absolutely, it's here. It's here.
Right? It's here. It's here. Anywhere. If anything, we're building upon it, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of businesses are shifting their focus. They're realizing that in order to scale and remain relevant, they need to tap into this space. So we're seeing a lot of industries that in the beginning said that they were against it, right? But now they're realizing, okay, well, if you can't beat them, join them, right? And a lot of them are joining. We have, the credit card companies that initially used to prevent you from purchasing, who are now in this, and they're they're purchasing, NFTs themselves, and they're finding ways that they can incorporate crypto into their service. And so, and to hear that even Block, right, the TBD to be decentralized, I was like, that is
yes. I thought, yes, I love it. I love it here.
Yes, that's the goal. Decentralization. Yes. And, I have to say, Jack and his team, all of the people there at Block understands this space, right? And I have to say that they're not people who are faking the funk, right?
Exactly.
That really understands the power and knowing, the reality, and then moving towards, what we hope to build, and knowing the pinpoints of that, right? Because a lot of people assume that all they have to do is just talk and just say the buzzword, right? Web3, and magically
blockchain and magically crypto, boom.
So it's a progress, right? It's I think I read somewhere that somebody said it's a marathon. This is how you go through and you build, right? You can't just say it. You got to talk about it and also be about it, right? And walk that walk, right? And don't just say it, but also be able to reflect on how you're navigating. It's the same way that you're navigating, the same way that you're navigating in Web 2 or in IRL, the same way that you're navigating here. Or are you expending your knowledge, right? And the people around you, are you willing to do that? If that's something that's not for you, then I don't think Web3 is for you. And a lot of people need to understand that. We're still building. It's still in the early stages. The regulations that she talked about, I'm glad that she broke that, myth, right? And
absolutely.
Because a lot of people are saying, And I think I may have been guilty of it as well, but knowing that there are some regulations that may not, specifically talk about what we're building here, but indirectly there are, regulations that does tap into this industry, and that's why we have KYC, and that's why we have, people, the SECs, like you mentioned, who are regulating people in the way that you communicate the space to the general public, right? And so there are things here that we're trying to fit within that structure. And hopefully, as she mentioned, I'm so happy she mentioned this, that you cannot let regulation in this space happen in silo, right?
Yes.
Our
Yes.
country, right? And one thing regulatory bodies do, especially in the US, is they seek information from people. They want to know, how will this impact, right? And the one thing that we know, it has been powerful about this country is, ultimately, if the people are adamantly against something, the people will find ways to let their congressmen and congresswomen know about it, right? So we need to have a lot more on the ground advocates that are informing their regulatory bodies about this space and not allowing them to be manipulated by individuals who have other interests, right? We're trying to build decentralization. But however, we want our congressmen and congresswomen to understand what that means to us, right? So when they
Yes.
legislation and they're trying to fit it within, certain constructs and stuff, we want them to fully understand it and not necessarily put out the same rhetoric. Like oh my God, there's so many people out there. I'm like, yes, yes, yes.
Yes, me too. I was like, yes, yes, yes.
Environmental impact. What? Yes.
Like when she got to the environmental impact, I have to say, I was behind stage, like, yes, yes. Like, tell them how it is. Like, we do so many things right now that have a greater impact than we have when it comes to mining and when it comes to the technology, the blockchain technology. There are so many other things we could be doing. And like I was saying, in my experience, and when I've heard speakers here talk, and I've heard, speakers in Bitcoin conferences and things like that talk who are in mining, and that's their focus. And they really are very, they're really heavy on the implementation of these things and making it so that we're using reusable energy, or they're creating energy that can be reused. And the fact that the servers and things are portable, right? It makes it way easier than I can't take my washer and decide to go use volcanic energy in order to power my washer, right? But they're doing that in countries and so with the miners and things. So it's very important that, like she said, very important on the education, very important that we are constantly talking and get rid of the FUD and FOMO. And we have a duty, those of us who do know, to reach out to our congresspersons and let it be known, that, you are a supporter of blockchain and crypto technologies, and that they should do a deep dive and give them resources and things so that they can really understand what this space is, rather than trying to, as she said, put a square peg in a round hole, or vice versa, right? There's some things that she was mentioning in regulation that, it can work. Okay, we can understand it, but understand this is a new space, and we can't do old things, right, with this new space. It just doesn't fit. It doesn't work. You have to be creative. You have to get the education so that you can create and make sure that regulation and things that come down, education that comes surrounding the space is actually accurate, and it can help to really keep people protected as they're claiming that they want to do.
Exactly. Yeah, I love it. I mean, we can go into deep dive about this, and we'll save that for the Ask Us Anything or Ask Me Anything session in the Discord and Clubhouse. But right now, I know we have a wonderful speaker, and I'm really excited about this because now we're starting to get into the application of a lot of the use cases in this space in other industries, right? And
yes.
So I need for you to introduce this next speaker. So I'll leave now.
Thank you, Yinka. Okay, so our next speaker, we're talking about application in different use cases. I mean, different industries. So we went through sports, we went through regulation and governing compliance. Now we're about to tap into something that I've also been hearing a lot about, and which is real estate. So we have in real estate in the Web3 space. So we have with us today Natalia, who will be coming up to the stage soon, and she's with Proppy, and we're going to talk about real estate. Because I know I have a lot of questions already, because I am interested. I'm one of those people that is interested in purchasing, and like hopefully after your presentation, I'll have a little clearer idea. Hi, welcome, Natalia. How are you?
Hi, Tam. Very good. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. I'm so happy you're here with us today. But I'm going to go ahead and let you take away and share with us what you brought with us today.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, thank you so much for having me on stage, and I'm very thrilled to share a little bit more about the application of blockchain, NFTs, and cryptocurrency in this huge sector, which is real estate. It's a $280 trillion market, and there is a lot of opportunity for many entrepreneurs in the space. So I'm the founder of Proppy. Since 2017, we've been innovating in the intersection between blockchain and real estate. With my company, we did the first ever smart contract usage in real estate, first ever NFT in real estate, first ever escrow via smart contracts, first ever blockchain recording system for governments. So we experimented a lot, and we figured out the way that is fastest to adopt this technology within the real estate industry. And when we're talking about blockchain applications in this industry, it's not just the cryptocurrency payment for a property, but actually the ownership transfer of real estate within chain, on chain. The great example here is, of course, the NFT sale of real estate. We're not talking about metaverse, even though that's an exciting application as well. And we're not talking about fractional ownership, which is also an amazing application of security tokens to transfer ownership of real estate. We're purely talking about the rights being transferred between two wallets, peer-to-peer. And we first were able to accomplish that for an apartment in Ukraine last year. And this year, finally, we were also able to make the first ever NFT transfer of a property in the US. And besides that, we've been doing those NFT transfers. We also have transacted over $4 billion of volume in real estate via smart contracts in the last couple of years. So very excited to be here. I'm not sure if you'd like to actually get into Q&A session as soon as possible, but the other things that I can share is that we've seen a lot of traction and interest from institutional investors, from consumers, from realtor community. And we're 3 female co-founders here, a former banker, I'm a software engineer, and a millennial who has been a prop tech entrepreneur. So very thrilled of this execution path that was made entirely by this leadership of women founders. And even for the first ever real estate NFT transfer here in the United States, it was a seller who's a female real estate investor reached out to us willing to NFT their property. And the buyer in this auction, the winner in the auction happened to be another female investor. And we're seeing the first signs of the demand from the consumer willing to buy real estate via smart contract enabled settlement. And what we're seeing is that it's not just a typical profile of a crypto geek participating in these NFT sales, but actually consumers that are willing to buy real estate, but in a more straightforward way. such as this one, where we asked the buyer why she decided to buy this property. First of all, she just wanted to own real estate as an investment opportunity in this particular area, which is Tampa in that case. But also, she was thrilled about this instantaneous movement of ownership, and she also felt very secure. While in traditional process, it's a 30 days of anxiety. Every day something can fall apart. There is wire fraud risk, title fraud risk. But she shared that she trusted smart contracts. Smart contract enabled technology to transfer one of the most valuable assets in one's life. So we're very thrilled that we're seeing this adoption, not only of cryptocurrency as a method of payment, but also this deeper application layer, which is transfer of rights. And of course, we've seen this trust last year with NFT art and music transfer. And now we're going further, where you can transfer the rights to physical assets via NFTs. So very, very glad to see this excitement in the industry and amongst the broader community, the consumer community. Wonderful. I'm not sure if there are, yeah, we can start the Q&A.
Yeah, excellent. So thank you so much for that, Natalia. I do have a couple questions. So my first question is, outside of the instantaneous transfer of like you said, the asset of a real estate property, what else makes this way in which you're contracting real estate? What else makes it different by using, like, NFTs? What else is different besides the instantaneous transfer? Is there any other benefits to utilizing the technology outside of instantaneous transfer?
Yeah, this is a great question. Besides it's finally an enjoyable process of buying a home, also the other advantages is the ability to use your home as a collateral in DeFi protocols. Just like you can borrow against Bored Apes and CryptoPunks, now you can easily borrow against your real estate NFT. And the other benefit is that there is a whole movement now forming where real estate owners, institutional and retail ones, they want to bring real estate on chain. And the way we do it, we actually detach home ownership from the government, from counties, in a very legal, straightforward way. And then there are royalty fees implemented into the protocol, where all sellers and realtors who are bringing a real estate asset on chain for the first time via our protocol, they're entitled to get royalty fees on all future deals for these specific properties.
Oh my, that's exciting. Like, so you're telling me that I could essentially sell my home, right, and then continue to get royalties off the sale of my home.
Exactly.
If somebody else sells it again.
Exactly.
Wow.
When you put the property on chain, we make sure your history is clean, and then everything moving forward is recorded on blockchain, and it's immutable, and you can trust the title history now. So when you bring this property on chain, of course, we want to incentivize you in the future deals. And also there are huge savings. Right now, we spend about 10% of a property value for each transfer. Why are there so much money? 10%, and normally 10% is this affordability challenge where people cannot save money on down payment. And instead, we're spending 10% of the property value on different fees and commissions and whatnot. And I'll say that the agent and realtor job is not necessary. It is very necessary to bring those properties on chain, but the rest of the fees are insane. And there are about 80 people, middlemen, that are touching a single transaction.
Absolutely. So my question is, with the with now, like, removing those middle people, do you foresee that there might be a change in like maybe the pricing of some of the real estate that is available? Like, do we expect that to go up or down now that we've removed some of those fees that would normally be, required in a typical transaction?
I don't foresee a drastic change in property prices due to the technology. What I foresee is the increase of the liquidity. Right now, there are 6 million homes sold annually, about $1.7 trillion volume. But as we make this process easier, we will observe Gen Zs to finally not be scared, and the millennials not be scared to get into home ownership, and they will start building wealth with more confidence. And then, of course, reducing those fees will make it possible the low-income communities to also get into ownership. But it doesn't necessarily interfering with the price, because the underlying asset is still real estate.
Gotcha. But like you said, being able to build wealth in it, like, in a new way, in this way, is definitely like is really revolutionary as far as I'm concerned. Because if I can sell the home, because I am a millennial, and I'm definitely one of those millennials that's like, yeah, I don't want to buy a home. I don't need a home. It's not for me. I don't need those issues, but the idea of now it actually working as an asset is very, very appealing to me. So I definitely want to look in more into that. So one of my questions, another question is, what is the process of selling your home through Propy?
Yeah, so we basically, our platform that is built on smart contracts can do 3 types of transactions. One is a traditional transaction with dollar payment and with traditional mortgage. And it's very straightforward. It's still between 7 to 30 days closing, but we provide this transparency, mutability, and so on. The other one, and we've transacted $4 billion across the country. The other one is the same platform, but accepting cryptocurrency. Also very straightforward in terms of the legal paperwork. And then the third one is the NFT sale, which is the most innovative, but we utilize the same platform to prepare the home for minting. And then we use our auction platform to actually do the sale itself. And for the traditional deal, it's more or less the same process. We record the deed in the county and on the blockchain, and we expect the industry will start trusting more the blockchain record rather than the county.
Yeah.
And so that's very straightforward. The NFT sale, it's very revolutionary, because we put every single property we sell into an LLC or a trust. Then we record this LLC in the county through our own escrow company. And then all the future deals will be sold as the same LLC and only via NFT. And that's how we detach home ownership from county. So first we record this LLC or a trust in the county. And from that moment, the interest is being traded as an NFT. And so we don't have, with the next sale, we don't have to come back to the county and record it again, because it's the same name, basically.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That makes a lot of sense. Okay. So, typical loan transactions use 30 to 100 plus pages of documentation. Was the whole process completed on chain or being stored on chain, or just the deed and title transfer?
Yeah, so for the traditional deal, we still have those hundreds of papers and forms and so on. Hopefully, our technology will help to reduce that. Every single document that is signed on our platform, we get a hash of it and put it on blockchain, so that we don't have any fraud cases, any risks with the whole conveyance of the property, the whole closing, from offer to the deed recording. Everything is recorded on blockchain, the hashes of documents. Then our consumers also do down payment in dollars through our secure payment gateway. And then in terms of the NFT sale, we only have like I think 4 documents that are signed online where you consent with kind of terms and conditions, and then you own the property right away.
Okay. And how is the function of the closing agent completed for the transaction? Like notarizations, how are those captured?
For the NFT, you don't need notarization. For the traditional deal, you do need notarization only for the seller, from the seller.
Okay. Don't mind me. I'm actually taking notes, as I encourage everybody during the World Wide Web 3 Wednesdays, take notes. So I'm actually taking notes as I'm asking the questions. So,
Yeah, by the way, our first ever buyer was a profile just like you. He never wanted to buy a property. He thought it's like hectic process. Why I would get into that? But when he saw, oh, it's an NFT, I have a wallet, I have some Ether, he bid and he became the owner within minutes. So same things, and it's been soon to be a year.
Well, nice. That definitely gives me even more encouragement to look at this, because that's definitely, I know I would want to go the NFT process just from what you described. I know that it would be like how I would want to invest, because like I said, everything else just seemed like overwhelming and like a whole lot of things I didn't want any parts of. Right. Then I have to worry about, like, where the deed is, like so much information. I was like, I don't know if I'm that much of an adult. As a millennial, I'm like, listen, adulting is hard enough, to add extra things in there. Okay. So my next question is, how receptive was the county of record in recording the transaction from the blockchain as an NFT? What questions or concerns did they have on, like, your first transactions?
Well, as just I mentioned, every property we got as an NFT request, we first put it on LLC or trust. Mm-hmm. Then we record it in the county through a traditional way. And it's a very common practice to own real estate via a legal entity to protect your privacy, because otherwise everybody can go to the public record and understand where Tam lives. And, try to get your crypto assets or whatnot. And so we do the recording of the LLC. They don't have any questions. And then we sell the LLC interest and they don't have a question. The only thing we need to do after the sale is to report to the county who is the new owner, so that they are being taxable in terms of property taxes. That's it. But for home ownership transfer, the counties, they don't care that the LLC has new owners now.
Oh, okay. So they don't care that the LLC itself has new owners. Yeah, that makes sense, because it's not the property. Yeah, okay. All right. So then how are then banks reacting to the sales structures?
Well, banks are just method of payment, and they're not involved in real estate ownership transfer.
So they're just, as long as it's the method of payment, as long as they're getting their money, like, they're basically okay.
Well, if we use banks just for money transfer, we as an escrow empowered by smart contracts, we just transfer money from the seller to the escrow account, and that's it. If the question is coming from the mortgage perspective, then for traditional deals, we work with traditional banks in terms of mortgage and report them on smart contracts. They don't care about that. It's just, whether you sign it with a DocuSign or you sign it on a paper. Now we're doing it a level deeper. We're recording it on the immutable blockchain. And then for the NFT, for now, we don't work with more traditional lenders. There are about 5 DeFi mortgages that are evolving right now, and we're super excited to work with them. So in the NFT space, we even won't work with traditional mortgage companies. Banks care about, and Nicole is writing, banks just care about the dollars. Near the banks, they will be happy.
Okay, so how about property tax? How is that addressed in this process?
It's the same. We're complying with all the regulation. You pay the property taxes. The whole blockchain application in real estate, it's not a method to avoid taxes. So it's just the same.
Just the same. Good. Okay.
And then, of course, if you utilize your cryptocurrency, then buying real estate with your crypto is a taxable event for your crypto.
Oh, yeah. Buying with crypto. It's taxable. Okay. All right. So, what are some of the, I guess, concerns that you've heard from like some of the clients that you might have had, like who have been looking to purchase through NFTs and like, this is their kind of first time of doing it this way? What are some of the concerns that you've been hearing?
Yeah.
Of like maybe for the process or like, they're not understanding? What have some of their concerns been?
Yeah, so we got about 1,000 requests from sellers to NFT their homes since last month when we did the first ever US property. And we have about 3,000 buyers, potential buyers, signing up to our form for the NFT sales. And normally they have, of course, different questions. The sellers are asking questions whether this process have any limitations in terms of selling the property traditionally, and the answer is no. When we launch an NFT sale, we also launch the property on MLS, and then we do the auction sale. And if the property is not sold via the NFT auction the same day when it's announced, and next day the sellers can accept traditional offers also through our platform. So there is no limitation in terms of adding this additional pool of clients, which is crypto-enabled buyers, to the sales process. Another question we get is the fluctuation. And so we've just solved it by allowing to run sales in USDC. The last sales were done in Ethereum, and now we will be accepting USDC. So the seller receiving these funds automatically during the auction, they basically won't have any fluctuation risks in case they have to cover some expenses and dollars. So these are the two main questions, I guess. Oh, another question is whether to expect any premium prices if you sell it as an NFT. Sometimes you may accept it as the first one in your city, first one in your state, but I wouldn't expect a very high premium, because in the end of the day, the underlying asset is real estate, and the crypto investor is a very smart one, and they're looking at all comparables which we provide, and they want to make a good deal. So definitely pricing of each property should be wise.
Okay. So that's pretty good to know that, like, not really expecting those premium prices, because, you're already buying a house, in the market as it is right now, and then adding another premium price tag because we're doing it via NFT. Like, I'm like, whoo, that could definitely get expensive. Like, so that's good to hear. Another question is, how is the federal right of recession process handled within this transaction, the 3-day right to cancel?
Well, let's ask this question to OpenSea.
To OpenSea?
Yeah, well, when you buy an art via an NFT, what's going on with a 3-day right to cancel? Once you put your asset on blockchain and you announce the terms that the asset is transferred from one wallet to another wallet where the payment is done, it's executed. Just
so
like
that is
a Bored Ape or Cyber CryptoPunk, and then you got it. There is no reverse smart contract built in for 3-day cancellation.
Okay. So has that ever come up, and is that a concern, like, for either sellers, for the buyers?
No, never.
Hasn't come up. Do you guys plan to like address that in the future? Because like if something were to happen, where the buyer does that, I guess it's because that's like that is a like a regulated thing, right? So is it, I guess
Yeah. We're working with the best lawyers in the country,
Mm-hmm.
real estate closing attorneys, and they have not advised us.
Okay. Okay. Good to know. Okay. All right. So gotcha. All righty. Let's see if we have any questions in the chat. Any info in the chat from any? You don't have any additional questions out of the chat right now. Have to always make sure that we know we're listening. I'm listening. I'm watching. You guys. And so if you have questions, feel free to put them in the chat. Also, feel free to connect in the Discord if you think of anything following today's session that you might have when it comes to real estate and purchasing through property. I know I'm probably going to have some more questions as I get some time to sit and think about this and kind of think about how it traditionally measures up to, I guess, what I know of the traditional home buying purchase. Do you guys offer any consultations to someone that might be interested in understanding a little bit more about how the process works and really sitting down with somebody for their specific interests when it comes to selling?
So if you go to propi.com, there is the main button there, Get Started. If you're a buyer or a seller, click buyer and seller, and then click I want to buy or sell as an NFT, and then you'll get on a call right away with our sales team, and they will guide you through how to sell or how to buy. Also, we have a crypto certified course available for realtors and any real estate professional. Even the consumers can get this course. There are 7 sessions on what is a blockchain, what is a wallet, how to NFT a home. And then we provide an exam, homework, and you can get crypto certified and use it in your social media profiles.
Excellent. I'm going to do that. Definitely going to do that. All right. So what is your vision for Propi for the next 5 years?
Thank you for the question. In the next 5 years, we expect the millennial community, the Gen Z community, and people like Tam to not be afraid to invest in real estate. And we address this barrier to home ownership to be finally avoided through this technology. We're expecting to be the next big unicorn in the real estate space and Web3 space, where whenever you think about buying a property, you would think about Propi and do transactions very securely, legally, and do it with enjoyment, because you're buying one of the most valuable assets in your life. So we thrive for this journey to be very enjoyable. And definitely we will need the support of the community here, and I appreciate being invited because it's the crypto community who is driving our adoption to become the next big leader in the space of real estate and Web3.
Excellent. Well, you definitely have me thinking of this in a totally different way. So I will say that I am intrigued, and that's a good place for me to be personally. So I'm happy to know that this is actually might be something I might be doing then, here fairly soon. So any thoughts then on the metaverse when it comes to real estate? And this could just be your thoughts, nothing specific, but real estate in the metaverse.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, real estate metaverse is a huge market that's on its own could be $1 trillion market in terms of assets in metaverses. There will be 10, 20 different metaverses that are winning the space. It won't be just one. It will be just like the future of social media, but there will be assets, and there is a demand for these assets, and you will need designers who will design your assets, who will help you make events for business or for personal matters. So investment in real estate makes sense today. It's just a matter of defining who is the winner. And I strongly believe that there will be a correlation between the physical brands of the today world and physical real estate being emerged into the imaginary real estate. So there will be some intersection of the two worlds, the physical and the metaverse. And most likely we will go in this parallel world with Oculus and browse for properties and choosing those properties we want to invest in first in metaverse. And then of course we always would go physically and then get the feeling of the neighborhood, of the materials, of the smell, and all the senses involved when we're picking a place to live in real life.
Absolutely. I'm happy to hear, like, that you see it as that it makes sense. Like, that it makes sense that these two things will go hand in hand, because I've heard real estate agents and people that are in the space that are just in real estate, but not in the Web3 space. They see it as like, it's fake property. And like, I've heard that, like, it's not real. Like, why would you want to spend that amount of money on something that it's not even real? You can't even live there. Like, you can't even run your business out of there. So some of them, like a lot of them, like, don't really understand what the space is, but it's great to know that Proppy and you, Natalia, and I'm sure your team there is seeing the vision of the future and understanding that these things will become just part of your IRL in real life experience. Like, so it's really great to hear, like, from the leaders that you guys are, yes, this is going to happen. It's kind of goes back to our other speakers saying, like, listen, this technology is here. You got to embrace it. It's happening.
It's inevitable. And we, in fact, have 1,000 realtors that are crypto certified. They are thrilled about metaverse. They want to be the meta agents. They want to help consumers to select the best metaverses, to select the best neighborhoods, to evolve those properties. There are conversations about real estate developers and real estate gardeners who will take care of your lawn in the metaverse. So it's evolving, and it's a huge community that is forming up.
Well, I'm happy to hear that. I definitely want to tap into, like, get more information and build more of a community with those real estate agents. Is there anywhere you could probably, like, point us to where that might be, like, places to look for those crypto certified real estate agents? And of course, I mean, outside of your course as well, but in, like, communities?
Yeah, absolutely. So Proppy.com has crypto certified course. After crypto certified course is passed, then there is another course, which is a meta agent, where we dive into metaverses, neighborhoods, prices, evaluation of different projects. And then besides that, we have a community, of course, on Twitter, on Discord. That's where we communicate. And then there is a community of approximately 100 people that are on Telegram that are crypto certified, and they're on the way to become meta agent, and they're sharing ideas and so on. So definitely we're very strong in building those communities. And we just did a crypto and real estate summit in Miami 2 weeks ago. We had about 500 people in the summit. It's amazing energy shared in this community. So everyone is welcome to join and come to our next summit in October.
So do you need to be a real estate agent first in real life, or can you just join because you're interested?
No, you can be a non-licensed agent in real life to go through the crypto certified course and then get into the meta agent course.
Okay, great. Excellent. And what about the summit? Do you have to be an agent in order to attend the summit? No.
The summit will be announced. The next summit will be announced soon. Anybody can buy a ticket. The prices start from $500 to $1,500. There are, of course, early bird tickets with 50% discount, and they're available to anyone.
Excellent. Well, I look forward to seeing that information in the Discord. Want to let everyone know, please tap in on the Discord. We're going to have the links to Proppy. You'll be able to, again, ask more questions if you have more questions, and we'll also get the links to the course, so you can go straight there if you're interested, and then keeping us updated on the summit, because that sounds exciting to me. as well. That sounds very exciting. So I don't think I have any other questions right now, but I do want to say thank you so much, Natalia, for taking time out. I know you're super busy as the founder of this amazing space. Oh, sorry, we got one other question before I say goodbye. Somebody wants to know, are there any state restrictions in which you operate?
Yeah, for depending for what. So
Okay.
For traditional deals on smart contracts, absolutely no restriction. For crypto cores, no restriction. For the NFT sale, there might be, I think, 2 or 3 states that are restricted to participate in the bidding process. Again,
Okay.
we work with 5 best teams, legal teams on real estate laws, security laws, and all aspects that are touching our company. We work with the best teams, and that's where they found some potential risks, maybe with 2 states only, 2 or 3.
Okay. So, but we can trust that you guys are doing your due diligence and keeping those people, like, on the team. So we can trust property and knowing that, like, they're doing what they have to do to make sure that they're operating within all the legal realms. So, rest assured that they're out here doing what they're supposed to do.
Yeah, if I can mention one more very important
Oh, yes, go ahead.
is that be aware that some real estate assets are sold on OpenSea. It is illegal to sell real estate assets on OpenSea because you can sell real estate only to identified people. And as you know, on OpenSea, there are anonymous wallets that are bidding for art and digital assets, but for home ownership, what we do in Propi, it's a real estate NFT marketplace, just like OpenSea, but we KYC each wallet that is participating in the sale process. We go through the AML procedures, so we know every single person that is participating in the sale. And then, of course, we use this information, the name and the address, to actually put them automatically to ownership documents.
Okay. That is some excellent info. And I'm happy to know that, because I have been hearing that, like, I bought this on OpenSea and I bought a property on OpenSea. Like, I wasn't this interested in buying property because I quite understand it, but I am happy to know that I'm going to spread that word around to some people, because I don't think that they really have that understanding. So good to know. Can you talk a little bit about the Learn and Earn program?
Yeah. We've launched the Learn and Earn program. Nicole, thank you so much for this question. It was launched last November. For now, this program works only for licensed real estate agents. They are incentivized by Propi token when they do transactions on Propi, and when they do transactions very transparently, when they share all data with their seller and their buyer. So for now, it works only with realtors, but we're very thrilled to also make it broader to consumers who will be transacting on Propi in the next upcoming months.
Okay, so that's something we can be looking for. Excellent. All righty, let's see.
Nicole is mentioning here that virtual real estate can be acquired.
Yeah, virtual real estate can be bought. Physical real estate cannot be bought. But yeah, okay, yeah.
Good point.
Gotcha.
Now the space is becoming harder. We always need to make sure we mention whether it's a virtual real estate or physical.
Right. Definitely got to make the distinction. Absolutely. Okay, so do we have any other comments or questions here? Let's just check the chat real quick. I believe that... All right. I believe that's all we have for today. Again, thank you so much, Natalia. Like I said, I know you're very busy, and I'm so honored to have had this opportunity to get these questions answered in the interview. And I hope that I know it brought value to everyone here watching, because it definitely brought value to me. And I really do look forward to I'm going to say, maybe buying a real estate, like buying some IRL real estate.
This one is in April, 7th.
In April.
Yeah, $185,000 starting price, a beautiful condo in Florida.
Okay. And you know what's so funny? I actually been talking about getting a condo in Florida. Like I said, if I needed to, like if I was trying to look for something that was gonna be in Florida. So I wrote that down. Y'all didn't hear that. None of y'all heard that. That was for me. So let me just look at it and decide if I want it, and then everybody else can come in. Okay.
Wonderful.
But thank you again. Thank you again, Natalia. I really appreciate you for coming through today for us.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Woo. Am I about to be a homeowner?
Wow, Tim. Okay.
I might become a homeowner. Like I'm totally like I'm an international mukbanger. I literally travel and eat, and so that I've never wanted or really had the desire to buy a home. And then like understanding how this whole process is. I've had several friends, family members that have gone through it, and I've just always been like, not for me. But this actually does open up the possibility for me and really help open my mind to like, okay, maybe this is something I could do. This Web3 space, I'm telling you, every single time.
Right? You're learning a whole lot. And, I appreciate Natalia coming and talking about property because as a homeowner myself, right, I'm always thinking of like, how are the things that I'm used to doing in real life a different way going to be impacted when we get fully submerged into this whole Web3 ecosystem, right? And hearing all these things, that's why I had so many questions. And I'm thinking like, how does that even apply? Like, how does that? And so I'm glad that she was a good sport and she was able to, answer all of our crazy questions. Really interesting to us. And I'm glad there are people like her, right? As well as the rest of her team that have already started utilizing this space for what it is, right? And they're building and trying to think of the next thing, right? And that's what we need in this space. We need more innovators who are coming with different ways of how to apply this. And I really think Proppy is one of those that blew my mind. So much out there. And, I want to dig deeper. Seriously, I text two people who I know who are real estate agent. One of them is a high school friend's husband who helped me purchase my house, right? Some years ago. And then the other one is my brother. And I text them both. I was like, did you know that there's a certification? I mean, come on, like, why not get it? Right? There's things out there that you can apply that could help you scale. Because that's the first thing that we said this morning. We need to learn how to scale in this space. And business industries are coming in to find ways to scale, and knowing that there's disruptors like this out there, like Proppy, as well as others who are already doing the legwork and already making sure that there's certain structures that follows the rules, because there are real estate rules, right?
Yes.
Sticking to that. And as she mentioned, she has a wealth of, team members who have the right type of knowledge and education, real estate attorneys and all that stuff that are backing her and her team. And so they're cognizant about the changing lay of the land.
Lay of the land. Yeah.
And wow. Yeah, we could probably go on for a few more hours just asking her questions about the process and how it goes and all these things. And I know you called for like questions at the last minute, but something just popped up, and I was like, what a segment today.
Yo, I'm blown away. Like, I'm really blown away. Like, I cannot even like begin to express. I literally just had a friend who when I guess this was like this past summer or something, when the hurricanes and stuff hit down in Houston, in Texas, and she had a house and she lost her house. And so she's been talking about how she doesn't want to go back through the process again because of how just strenuous it was. Like, I can't wait to text her. I'm texting her as soon as I get off this conference today. I'm gonna say like, yo, did you know you could use the NFT and basically like avoid a lot of the headaches you had before, and like, you know, get another property. So she's looking at it, and like I said, now my eyes are like, okay. And I just things I didn't even think about how they're using this technology. Like I didn't even, to me, I understood, okay, like people are buying the virtual properties, right? But how that actually translates to buying the actual property was made so much clearer. Like, you know, thanks to Natalia. And so I cannot tell you just how thankful I really am for this, because like I said, it's opening up new worlds to me every single time, every single Wednesday, every single day. This entire conference has been amazing. And we still have more to come. More to come.
Speaking of which, you know, tomorrow we're focusing on healthcare. You know, it's all about the healthcare industry, the medicine, research, all that is all tomorrow. And you guys will get to be introduced to the way this space is interacting with blockchain, as well as, you know, the healthcare, right? It's the things that I know, like I really want to spill it right now. But
no, don't spill it. You got to save it.
They're coming in tomorrow. So like the first person that we have as a speaker tomorrow is someone that I've been interacting with, you know, for a while. And I'm really excited about her research. I'm excited about the things that she's, you know, bringing into the space, and the way that she's actually looking at some of the use cases and trying to apply it. And I can't wait for you guys to be like blown away.
Well, I'm excited because being a person that, like, I grew up with sickle cell anemia, and I've been on the end. I've been in and out of the hospital like for a very long time, like before I received my stem cell transplant. And so it's definitely
wait. You know, Sean, I have sickle cell as well. So like, here we go.
Here we go again.
Wow. Okay, so tomorrow's about to be like mind blowing to us. But yes, I have sickle cell as well. I have not gotten the transplant, so I'm just blown away by like how much commonalities we both share. All right.
Yeah. So I can't wait to tap into that tomorrow. We can talk a little bit later, but I can't wait to tap into like see what because I know if you're interested in it now, like, oh, I'm ready to hear this. I'm so excited to hear it.
Oh my God. Yeah. So yeah, no. And no, you were able to, you were not, like, you're just blowing my mind right now. Like, out of character. I'm like, hold up, wait. But no, you were in the middle of your senses.
I was just saying, like, just knowing, like, you know, the way that the healthcare structures work, the issues that those of us who have chronic illnesses deal with when it comes to everything from administration to like receiving the care that you need. I know that there has to be solutions here in the blockchain. Like, the blockchain is the solution. Like, what is your problem? Bring it to the blockchain and let it solve it. And so I'm excited to, that's all I was just saying. I'm excited to see what that looks like. Cause I also still have a younger brother who has it and who hasn't gone through the stem cell transplant process yet. And, you know, so it's very, and we all, like, you know, I mean, with COVID, right? We could see the issues that we have in our healthcare systems. Right. And so definitely want to tap in and see what problems are being solved in that industry, because it's very, very vital.
It is. Yeah. So, okay. So we're both about to geek out tomorrow.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So we want y'all to join us tomorrow because it's about to be really interesting. Proppy opened up our minds. It started with, you know, the information that we learned from the two ladies today, Brittany and Shantae, as well as, you know, getting an introduction into what they're doing in the community. And then we, you know, navigated towards our sponsor, Blockchain, with Megan.
Megan, yeah.
And just like blowing it even more and be like, look, all these things you heard, this is the truth, right? And there's so much content, right? That we're able to walk away knowing that, another wonderful Web3. Okay.
Another wonderful Web3 Wednesday. Listen. Yes.
We got Proppy. Proppy came on and was like, oh, hold up. Y'all have not heard anything yet. Now it's like, wow, okay, real estate. And, you know, we may get Tam to buy a real estate.
Listen, y'all might get it.
third annual, Tam will be like, yeah, so it started with the second annual. I got my house, I did an NLT, and I'm still reaping the benefit of that. I'm like, wow.
Yeah. Yo, it's exciting. Like I literally like my cheeks are hurting from smiling so hard because I'm so excited.
No, it's been a fantastic event so far. We've met some wonderful women across the globe who are working hard. You know, I mean, come on, like if you guys aren't talking about it after we go offline and jumping into our Discord and jumping into Clubhouse, whatever medium there are out there, letting people know, like I just learned this, I just did, I just found out this, then I don't know what what to do.
I mean, I don't know what else we could do because I mean, the space is growing. Like we're pushing the education. Like if you're in this space, you understand how important education is. Like you got to be sharing this information, using the hashtags, like continue the discussion, telling people. Like I just randomly, like sometimes go into where my family is sitting, and I just like, guess what I learned today? Like, and they're like, okay, and then they know I'm about to tell them something about the blockchain, but the point is like you got to get the information out there because you never know like who's going to use this and who's going to enter the space and then help to continue to bring the space forward. So share, talk about it. We're having the AMA later on today, right? And we're going to talk about it even more. So
less than an hour, we'll open up Discord, we'll open up Clubhouse. Have you guys join in. We'll get some of our speakers to come in, even some of the speakers from yesterday. I want to get them to tap in. But yeah, man, there is a lot more planned. Tomorrow is Table Talk Thursday, where it's our fireside chats. We get more deep dive into women in this space who are building, okay? When I say building, they're building, okay?
yes.
They're ready for that segment. They're excited. We're excited to have them, and we're about to geek out some. That's what we haven't already. I think today was like one of our geeking out moments. We're about to really geek out some more, and I love the fact that we as women can geek out, right? We can geek out and feel comfortable doing that. That's our authentic self that we're bringing to this space. So I want y'all to join us tomorrow for Table Talk Thursday. We start at 9 a.m. Eastern Daylight Savings Time. Tap into us in about less than an hour in our Discord, as well as Clubhouse. Clubhouse is Black Women in Blockchain. We will be doing a hybrid session, so you'll hear some people on Discord speaking, and then you'll also hear some people on Clubhouse speaking as well. So with that said, I bid all of y'all good day, and we will see you tomorrow. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Dun, 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 dun. Dun, dun, dun.
Hit our music. Hit the music.
Hit the music, I know, right? All right, bye, everyone.